All right, chat, welcome in, welcome in. A bit of a tough way to start here, of course. We have to say RIP to a legend. We lost a titan in the music world today, a real icon, pioneer, whatever sort of complimentary legacy, all-time words. They all seem to be appropriate for our guy, D'Angelo. Of course, he did pass away. There was some health battles that were in the mix, apparently, and yeah, chat, hey, yo. But we do have, of course, the albums. We already knew that those albums were going to be eternal anyway. So, it's not like we wouldn't be playing these albums maybe on a day like this, on a night like this. Ayo, chat. But, I guess a different way to cue them up and listen to them tonight, of course. Different memories, different thoughts with the family and everybody there, with that being, of course, in the news today. So, hey, yo, chat, we've got, of course, we did say we were going to get to some NFL trade machine kickback, listen to some music for sure, and see if we could cook up some NFL trades. So, unfortunately, again, sort of a somber note to enter the pod with, again, unfortunately for those involved, obviously. But we do have also, hey, yo, chat, stumble into the rest of it. We do have a bit of a slow sports night tonight. It is what it is. The baseball playoffs are really going to have to carry. I was going to say it's going to have to be entertaining. Well, obviously, it's going to have to be entertaining. I mean, the baseball playoffs are going to want that. But it has been a pretty... Hey, yo, IT, cut that out. It has been a pretty good game so far. It only is... Wait, can we get an inning at this point? Hey, yo, chat, we got to figure out even how to read the baseball graphics at this point. Well, ESPN just puts it up on this. I feel like it's easier on the screen. Second, AO, there it is. Would they get the bases? I thought that number was correlated with the bases. AO, chat, it is what it is. I guess AO. We also got ESPN in front of us. We forget sometimes. It is what it is. So yes, we can confirm bottom of the second. Shout out. But the Dodgers with a little error is what got the Brewers to have a runner on first at this point. So the Dodgers did have some hits at their last at bat. They had some runs. They didn't just have some hits. They had some runs. We have to use correct baseball terms here. I guess there is a difference, of course, but they were able to make it 2-1. So I don't know, baseball teams' ability to go, score. If it's football, the offense is going up and down the field. A little preseason NBA, of course, we can picture an offensive game, how those teams would match up. But, I guess it's just us not knowing baseball as well, too. Whether or not the Brewers are capable to kind of go bat for bat with the Dodgers in that type of way. But, yeah, it is preseason basketball, chat. That is the basketball we have to resort to. Of course, shout out to the WNBA season. It is officially over. The Aces, chat, are the champions. Let's remind you once more, Asia Wilson, an incredible season. But we do have just like a week period, a 2-week period, where we don't have any, real competitive basketball as well. Because we do have, I guess, NBA. If we want to get technical, how much can we complain? We do have NBA we can throw on. But the real actual started competitive. So I guess maybe October basketball in general, even regular season October basketball, November basketball, probably not the most competitive. Of course, that's why the whole idea of rolling in the Commissioner's Cup is being implemented and stuff like that. But it's still the idea that those games still still go to a record. They still count towards something. It does put some stakes on them, regardless of whether or not the guys value them. Whether or not they're playing in the season at the given time. Hey, yo, chat. Brewers at bat. That did seem a little quick. Hey, yo, I know they got the pitch clock, but they may have been able to take care of business there pretty fast. So shout out. I guess, the Dodgers, of course, being I don't know, again, if they were the one team in the regular season, but odds-wise, I guess if we looked at this point, if they were number one, the odds, that wouldn't be a real reflection of where they were at earlier in the season. Because, again, we sort of get that playoff mindset that can reset with some of these leagues. I mean, they had Coward on the TV at work today, and I looked up at one point, he had a power ranking up there. He had the Chiefs as the best team in the NFL, so I guess, at some point, could he be right? Maybe. But it's also like the Chiefs were number one. They were 3-3, and then everybody else was 5-1 in the top 10. He didn't even have the Bills in the top 10. So, hey, maybe Coward's top 10 a little shaky, chat. You never know. It could be the case. But, yeah, maybe the Dodgers are in that sort of same place in the regular season, and maybe they were more injured as well too. I guess the Chiefs, they have had their injuries, guys not playing. They do get Rashee Rice back this week, so I know people are like, oh, now they're really gonna get scary as well too. But earlier in the season, it was like if Mahomes can't hit Rashee Rice with a pass, then it doesn't matter if Rashee Rice is out there or not. So I mean, Mahomes dialing it in as well too. I guess should we check MVP odds real quick? He didn't do coward. Hey, pause. He didn't have an MVP power ranking up on the screen at all. At some point, if he did, we missed it. But I don't know if he would have moved into number one at this point. I guess Baker as well too. If we're talking records, 3-3 would be crazy. Again, I get it is not just giving it out right now, and you could still project him to have a pretty good regular season record, good enough for him to win the MVP, I guess, in terms of Mahomes. But again, Baker's at least has it at the moment. So I don't know if that matters as well too. Though I don't know if I would still bet Baker over Mahomes. Yeah, Mahomes is the favorite at 2-1. Josh Allen 3-1, Baker at plus 350. Ayo, and then Drake May is fourth at 10-1. Chad Goff at 16-1. I guess he did just lose to the Chiefs. So I was gonna say, why is Goff below Drake May? But that would be why. I still maybe would have him above Drake May at this point. But recency bias, I guess he did have a good game this past week, even if it was against the worst team. But still, I mean, and again, Mahomes is playing better these couple of weeks for sure. And we're definitely not going to sit here and be like, hey, let's not give Mahomes the MVP. I mean, like I just said, I'd still probably rather vote for him over Baker just because of the legacy stuff, I guess. I don't know if that's, I guess it is biased. Biased, even Chiefs bias, legacy bias, however you want to say it. But it still is that if we're ranking the guys, the confidence factor at this point, with the way he's played the last couple of games, that has turned around a little bit. The rushing factor as well too has been a thing that, with Allen and Lamar, and I guess with May as well too, maybe if, him being in, I guess, the elite quarterback conversation now as well too. And not, I guess, we've also been talking about how great he's been playing. So we're not going to backpedal now that he's, maybe being a little overhyped. But so I guess, at some point the conversation will even out. He'll continue, the hype will probably, he'll probably have a game or something that people will turn on him at some point. But the rushing element with Mahomes this year has actually been, and I guess we can't say to the level of Lamar and Josh Allen, because I guess at their best it is still what they're capable of as runners is still probably a little bit more intimidating. But in terms of effectiveness, I mean, Mahomes has been crazy, and I know that Josh Allen as well too could probably take that tackle that Mahomes had on that third down. And when Collinsworth was like, what quarterback does that? I mean, there was a post that I saw on Instagram where it was like comparing it, speaking of Baker, to a Baker play that he made that week. But also it's like, Josh Allen makes that. I mean, Anthony Richardson probably makes that play as well too. Does he fumble? He might fumble, chat, but he will, I guess, not Anthony Richardson, unfortunately, probably gets tackled by the first guy. It is what it is, chat. I mean, we can't sit here and defend our guy anymore. He's getting hurt in preseason warm-ups. There's no evidence of it at all whatsoever. There's no video evidence. There is a video. It turns out there was actually another pregame Colts injury as well, too. Charvarius Ward got, hit sticked by one of the tight ends. There was like a clip of Charvarius Ward's like running a route in pregame, and then the tight end, it like drifts over like a free safety and just puts it's like a textbook hit. It's just like a perfect, I guess, leading with the shoulder into the helmet. I don't know, into the helmet. I guess at this point, what are the targeting rules? But in terms of leading with the shoulder, it's pretty clean. So the tight end may need to go into the defense and teach some tackling technique. But unfortunately, it is warm-ups. Travarius Ward just running around. So no uniform, no helmet, just, I guess, shoulder right to the face. Orbitable bone. Chat, pause. It is what it is. So I don't know. Is orbitable more? Can you play with that more in the NBA because you wear the mask? You don't have like a helmet to put on over the mask. So maybe there's a way to protect it in the NFL. I guess I haven't looked to see how many weeks he's out, but he was obviously out for that game. And Anthony Richardson's injury, there's just a video that doesn't exist. So there's no fan camera from the stands, even like is this the moment potentially? And it's like, what happened? There's not even a theory video floating around. Not a theory video, but like a video that could hypothetically be the injury and not like confirmed. This is when the band slipped out from under his foot and whacked him in the face. But pause. But I guess point being, at the peak of his, ideally he could take on 3 tackles at a time. I guess Herbert does that in the pocket every week, chat. I mean, he doesn't necessarily get the opportunity to run for a first down and avoid 3 tacklers, but he can avoid 3 tacklers in his own backfield because his offensive line's hurt. And it is what it is. And I mean, Lamar as well, too. What are you going to say, Lamar, just because he can't get tackled? Now all of a sudden the whole 3 guys tackling him and then him powering for the first down. I get that is a scenario as well, too. Lamar could be on a run in the middle of the field, and that happens. But if he's faced one, he's probably going to juke that guy in a way that the tackle's going to be different, and then his quickness to even dive forward a little bit as well, too, could result in a first down in a different type of way. Jaden Daniels, I feel like he just runs to the sideline every time, so shout out. It is good. I guess, do we have to fire up the highlights for the Monday night games? I don't know, chat. Maybe not. But, and I did see this, of course, floating around online as well, too. So, I guess we weren't the only ones thinking about it. It turns out it was, and that's probably a good thing as well, too. You're like, okay, there is we're not crazy here. Like, this is actually a thing that's going on. But and I guess it's the primetime effect as well, too, is not a new thing. But the idea of having multiple games in a day, I guess on a Monday, if they put the first game earlier, and then it was one game into the next game, then maybe that would be fun. And I mean, Sunday has been, it's just perfectly set up in the work week as well, too, to be that kind of day off business-wise for everybody as well, too. So there is no, the afternoon game. It's a Monday, and I guess maybe Monday as well, too. I don't know. Monday's maybe a common day off. I'm not sure, but probably not. I guess Monday's going to work. Would Garfield hate Mondays if it was a day off, Chad? I guess we'd have to go research the comic strip and find out. We'd actually have to go read what's going on. How long would it take us to read the Garfield comic strip? Because I don't think comic strips are they're not that, there's not a lot of story in one comic strip. So is it like one page could be like 2 months of Garfield comics at some point? Can we just rip through the years of old school Garfield comics in a day just because of the way they're set up? I don't know. But chat. Now the Garfield sidebars got us distracted from what we were actually talking about. Something to do with running around and avoiding tackles. Jared Goff, unfortunately, probably not doing that as well, too. But I guess point being, the running effectiveness for Mahomes this year, and they've needed it as well, too. They don't really have a run game, but it has been there for him. And from a fantasy standpoint as well, too, he has been matching those guys a little bit in that aspect as well. So we'd have to go back and double check the numbers the past couple years, be like, was it actually, what were his rushing? Because he has gotten some rushing touchdowns and stuff as well, too. And of course, I think Allen was, I guess we have to go back and double check his rushing touchdowns as well last year. I know James Cook had a bunch, but then their just offense had a bunch in general. And unfortunately for the Bills offense, we may have fantasy jinxed them, Chad. It is what it is. We took James Cook and we took Josh Allen. So I don't know if the Bills fans are happy to hear that. But the last couple of weeks have definitely been a little bit tougher. Even if the first, handful of weeks was like, okay, these aren't the cleanest games. It's like, okay, we're still finding our way to 30 points. Josh Allen's still kind of having some, he's still kind of performing the Josh Allen games and making the plays. And James Cook was obviously, one of the best running backs in the league. So it did feel like, if they did clean up some of the turnover stuff and the defense as well, too, maybe it's just a problem with their ability to get stops. Throughout the course of the year, who knows what that results in. But it does feel like that there was an ability for them to go up a level. But we did maybe fantasy jinx them, and now that, of course, they got back. And James Cook as well, too, has been pretty brutal. How many points did he have this week, Chad? Another fantasy week of going into the Monday night game going just, there's no need to even look at the score. We were getting cooked this week. Last week, we had the best week of all time, and we lost. And this week, we definitely we corrected for last week. And just had a terrible week. Yeah, James Cook, chat. So maybe there was some obvious regression here with the numbers that he put up early on, where just from a fantasy standpoint, and I guess, every league's different as well, too, scoring-wise, but 22, 40, 28, 30 in the first 4 weeks. And then we fantasy drafted at week 4 in this league, and he's had 5 and 8. So, the receiving thing, I guess, has been a little bit off in the last couple of games, and that's, a couple of points, and not finding the end zone as well, too, is obviously major, but just the yardage in general is down. The carries obviously being there is the main thing that you're like, okay, if anything, that is That is fine. Ibuka getting hurt, chat. What do you do? Garrett Wilson. I mean, I can't believe we took him. I can't believe we invested in the Jets offense. That's just a mistake on our part, honestly. And, if it costs us the draft, chat, it's honestly fair. Or if it costs us the league, it is honestly a fair thing to have happen. So I'm just honestly glad we broke 100 points. It is what it is. This is still a respectable week for the team. But yeah, hey yo, shout out to the Chiefs for just being back on top of everybody's power rankings and number 1 in the league. I guess, are they number 1 in, where are the Super Bowl odds at as well too? Mahomes is number 1 MVP. Okay, the Bills are still, but they are tied. They're tied for number 1. The Packers are number 2. That's, I guess, number 3. Technically, 7-1. Bills and Chiefs both tied. So basically, the winner of that game is obviously the winner of the Super Bowl at this point. I mean, I'm not against saying that in a playoff situation. Of course, with the Eagles looking a little tough the last couple weeks. And I guess the Chiefs kind of, they did kind of take the Lions in the second half. Ayo, they kind of, they did definitely seem like they were the better team. Definitely in the second half of that game. And the defense at home as well, too, is going to be a problem. So maybe we go neutral field. That's a little bit closer. But I guess you have to consider, of course, the Lions making it to the Super Bowl as well, too. And just anybody in the NFC sort of scaring an AFC team at this point. But in the AFC, who's even scary, obviously, besides the Chiefs and the Bills? So it is an interesting year. And speaking of post chat, I did see another post that was like, imagine being at week 6 and not even knowing who's good. And it's not necessarily wrong as well, too. If we're looking at this going, are the Packers the third team to win the Super Bowl? This might just be matchup as well, too. And I know they don't have the same odds exactly. And that's probably still a little bit of respect for the Packers, taking the Lions to town in week 1. But that could be an either-or NFC North team, either-or AFC team. And then Eagles-Rams does kind of feel like a matchup as well, too. Though there is a little bit of a tier difference there as well. And then Colts-Bucks. So Bucks 18-1, chat? I don't know. Is Baker going to win the Super Bowl this year? I guess crazier things have happened. Have they? I guess going into the year, it's not so crazy. But obviously, Baker, do we have to go back to the Carolina days and be like, oh, yeah, he'll be on another NFC South team winning the Super Bowl in 2025. And the fact that, the Carolina thing was like 2019, 2018 at this point. Maybe it was like 21, 22. I guess we go back and see when he got to Tampa. But it does feel like it was a handful of years ago at this point where it'd be like, oh, wait a second, Baker not only got the chance to start, but it's like, hey, Baker's still good as well, too. He's actually playing. And I know Baker's not old, but again, just the perception of us being like, wait a second, why? And I know, obviously if you're locked in, you're probably like, wait a second, Baker probably shouldn't just be a defensive end on the practice squad. Like, this guy is still, I don't know if at the time you're like, is he a 32nd best quarterback in the league? But he's still probably a top 40 quarterback in the league at worst. Like, is Baker ever not a top 40 quarterback in the league? So he should always be, prevalent backup. The Joe Flacco, and I guess he was that for a little bit as well too, because he did have that week where he went to the Rams, and that was of course the big turnaround week for his career, where he was able to go in there on short notice and able to get that upset win, and again able to eventually earn the starting job in Tampa. Now I guess chat, potentially win the MVP at this point is pretty crazy. But Tampa winning the, and that's I guess maybe like we're saying, the one sort of separating factor, and that would be, I guess, a big reason, why we would pick the Chiefs, of course, over the Bucks, would be that quarterback spot, because the Bucks would be, pretty equal in talent to the Chiefs. And I think it is, even though obviously there's a lot of talent in the league and a lot of star players, a lot of fun, fantasy guys, the league's not short on talent all the way around. And I know injuries are playing a factor into it as well, too. A lot of guys aren't out there. But regardless, it doesn't feel like any team is majorly stacked in a way that, the Eagles were kind of last year, and they did, of course, lose some of their defensive linemen to free agency. And I guess, just Kelsey over the last couple of years, Jason leaving at the center spot. But then, there are other offensive linemen. It is a couple of years, so, that's going to factor into it as well, too. But nobody is, from a talent standpoint, like clearly right now, I think, a better roster than everybody. And, Kansas City obviously does kind of get that Belichick, I guess, is that what the Belichick boost, chat? I don't know if we have to call it the Reed rating or something like that and, rename it. But they do get that, and maybe it's just a more general, that good coaching boost as well, too, where that system and especially that we're saying at home in a playoff run, if they're able to, I guess, even get one home playoff game, but, even on the road as well, too. It does seem like, again, the we would trust them a little bit. And I guess with the Broncos, they did win versus the Jets, but still not looking convincing. I guess it was the London game, so you could always just maybe put the travel aspect into that as like a thing that, that is a factor into the poor performance. But still, that kind of ugly win is just not great. And to have that as well, too, off of a Eagles win, like you do have the potential for a letdown game in that next game, so just walking away with a win as well too is maybe good, and that is your you have your letdown game, and beating the Jets by 2 points, it's like, okay, that's a letdown. We should potentially win this game by more, but it does look like a point where you're looking at the rest of the regular season going, okay, I don't know if again the AFC West has separated themselves from Kansas City like we thought they would have. Again, shout out to the I guess RIP to the Chargers roster for getting hurt. And again, you got guys in San Francisco going down as well too, though they were still, even fully healthy, a little top heavy. Seattle's not too far off there. Hey, yo, Chad, I just realized we haven't even been playing D'Angelo's album. Shout out. Again, rest in peace, the legend. Shout out to his family. Thoughts and prayers. Hopefully everybody's doing okay over there. And the music has always been, obviously it's always been there for us, Chad. Hey, especially for people like us. Like, this music was out before we were even born. But, hopefully the kind words and all this stuff can maybe be there for, the people a little bit as well, too, in a moment like this. But, hey, yo, Chad, just right away, the vibes feel right. Hey, yo, maybe we just soundtrack every pod to D'Angelo. I don't know what the copyright is going to be on that, chat, but, if we turn it down, it is what it is, I guess. But shout out, it's only out of respect and love and, honoring a legend. So hopefully, maybe again, maybe not every episode. Maybe if we did go every episode, then it would be a little rude. But maybe for once, it's okay. And it can help, I guess, inform our bets, chat. Hey, yo. And figure out what are the proper fake trades to make. I mean, you always got to have good tunes to, I guess, hey, yo, I guess you can't call cooking up fake trades studying, chat. It is what it is. But, you got to surf to some good tunes, surf the web to some good tunes. Hey, yo, it is what it is. But, yeah, shout out. So, I guess, Kansas City. Oh, Seattle, chat. Seattle is honestly not too far off from best roster. The Rams are getting close, but I guess point being Tampa as well. I guess Denver. Unfortunately, again, some of the quarterback stuff has been maybe a little hold them backish at this point, and maybe we don't put all the blame on Bo Nix as well too. And just say quarterback time and time again, because I don't know if we'd rank, skill group. And I think a couple of, running backs are still pretty good, but, I don't know if they would be still the most dominant at some of those other spots in the league. So offensive line, foundational unit is still really good in the run blocking stuff. That's helped them this year in producing in a really good aspect in that game. But it is still, Bowles is third in tackle right now. Shout out. I guess, do we just start cooking up trades, chat? Hey, yo, since we're talking about the Broncos, at this point, I guess, do the Broncos trade anybody? I don't know. Surtain? Chat, is Surtain on the trade block? Is PFF's got him back up to 37. Honestly, this is a trend upward. I don't know if here, we'll see if Pro Football Reference is able to have the stats kind of reflect what it looked like there the first couple weeks. And I guess he did give up a touchdown, undoubtedly give up a touchdown earlier on one of those routes. Definitely maybe looking a little bit of a step behind on some of these plays. So, as the season goes along and along, hey, yo, and maybe he's able to kind of get more comfortable, get more rhythm as well too. So against Tennessee, Cam Ward, that game offensively was not much going on. But the game against Indy, chat, yeah, 9 targets, 7 completions, 63 yards. And then I guess he technically hasn't given up a touchdown according to Pro Football Reference. So maybe the play we're thinking about was near the goal line and maybe set him up in some spot. But 5 receptions against the Chargers, 3 targets for 51 yards. It's still like, you're going at him. You're still able to find some effectiveness. So the last couple of games he has, slowed down the yardage a little bit. But I guess that has been 2 of the last 3 have been against Browning and, the AO chat. We'll say Fields. It is what it is. I guess he's the quarterback of the Jets. We can't deny it. So, it's still Browning Fields. And, we could throw the Eagles offense in there. I'd say maybe they got the Eagles offense at a good time as well, too. A good stretch in the season, because there's no way that there aren't some type of potential switch-ups happening. I'm not saying that, people are going to start losing jobs and stuff like that, but it's clear their offense needs to mix some stuff up in some type of way. So maybe chat, I didn't think about starting here with the trade teams. I was thinking walking around work, I guess, until we got distracted by the Cowherd power rank, and it was like, whoa, what is this going on here? And then we just weren't thinking about fake trades anymore. But I was starting to think like NBA sort of mentality, who are the guys on the bad teams that you got to kind of save and are going to get traded away, and the tanking teams are going to start selling off parts to get picks. It's not selling off parts, but, trading guys to get picks and future assets and things like that. And, starting to look that way. And the Eagles, I guess in terms of the Philly fans' minds, maybe there's some, maybe it feels like tanking, losing 2 in a row. I don't know. But maybe, again, like they're just a team that's in need of a switch up. And, the A.J. Brown sort of trade request, I guess, is week to week at this point, depending on how many yards he gets. But if they do change their you're never going to not want A.J. Brown, especially right now. Like, he's at the peak of his powers. I don't know, PFF, they're not grading about top 3, so it wouldn't show right away. Yeah, they got him at 35 right now. Obviously, there's not 34 other receivers I think were taken above A.J. Brown. There's some guys emerging this year as well, too, and with some injuries, like a guy like Malik Neighbors, fully healthy, you could maybe have a conversation there. But I guess, Lad McConkey, you're still probably taking A.J. Brown, so it's still probably closer to top 10 at this point, if not still comfortably there. But there is a connection with Hurts and Smith. And to be honest, this is not a hot take for Devontae Smith's career, but I feel like with sort of, again, the lack of creativity in the Eagles offense, and Hurts has been forced a couple times, if he is going to throw it down the field, it has been kind of a screw it type throw. And Devontae Smith has been good in the 50-50 balls this year at pause. I don't know if there's they've only got him graded out at 41st as well, too. So that just feels like the Eagles offense being a little bit, and I don't know if there is some drops in there for him on some easier routes or not, or whatever. But I guess you would think, okay, well, you're trading your outside receiver, a guy like A.J. Brown, his ability to win down the field. Do you lose that element of your offense? And maybe, the focus that A.J. Brown gets obviously helps Devontae Smith be able to be in more maybe one-on-one jump ball type scenarios where he's able to, be more competitive, versus if he's got a safety flying over for help and other people, then maybe it just gets a little too much. But again, they would still have that ability to, just say screw it, like Devontae Smith's down there somewhere, and he can chuck it up and he can still win those jump balls. Because he did have, of course, the Kansas City play earlier in the season. There's a handful of other ones that I kind of am thinking of. I can see the highlight a little bit. I guess don't trust our memory for seeing the highlights, because we were definitely seeing Surtain giving up a touchdown, but I guess now we're conspiracy theory film. It's like a Bigfoot film. We have to go back and really see what happened there. But I guess there was that Hail Mary attempt as well too. Was that in the loss to the Broncos, where it was A.J. Brown knocking it away from Devontae Smith? But I guess even that's still a time where Devontae Smith and a group of guys basically got up there and got the catch, and the only person that was defended it was A.J. Brown. If we go back, speaking of super slow-mo, that might be another revealing one as well too. So maybe A.J. Brown is a trade target, and I guess the main problem would be, who are you trading him to? I guess maybe, for both teams' sides of it, because if you're the Eagles, you don't want to trade him to somebody good. Again, speaking of NBA top, NBA brain, Whoa, NBA top's crazy. NBA brain, NBA brain's crazy after saying NBA top, but I guess NBA mindset maybe is a better way to phrase it. NBA mindset would be, of course, a little bit different, but the NFL, I do think that the again, maybe trading him to a good team, maybe AFC, maybe it would not matter just because of the scheduling's a little bit different. You're not guaranteed to play every team, obviously, and at this point in the season, but you would still fear for his ability in the playoffs with a good quarterback to just kind of power the team through. But if you're AJ Brown, you don't necessarily want to end up on a bad team as well too, and just be in a worse spot in terms of, well, now you're the number one guy, now you have all the targets, but are you gonna be able to get get the receptions at this point? So I don't know. Does he go back to Tennessee, chat, with Cam Ward? Obviously Cam Ward needs AJ Brown at this point. Pause. But I don't know. Would it be a player for player type trade? You don't ever really see the receivers getting moved in the player for player deals, and I guess there really isn't a ton of player for player NFL deals as well too. I mean, maybe players thrown in, but not necessarily in an NBA way where that is basically what trades are. NFL, you have more picks as well too. So it is what it is. But AJ Brown is either, 3 first-round picks or whatever. Dante Adams is like a first in 2 seconds or something like that. He's either a first in 2 seconds or, it's like AJ Brown's going to Kansas City for a 5th. And we're like, wait a second, what just happened there? I don't understand this receiver market. Or, Arizona, or speaking of Tennessee, they're just like, we'll give you a 5th for AJ Brown. They're like, sure, we'll draft a linebacker in the 5th. That'll help us out. And it's like, okay, I don't know if that's exactly what we meant for, helping you this year as well too. So their salary stuff is a little different in the NFL. I don't know trade matching the salaries and the necessarily the importance of that. But AJ Brown is one of those receivers that you feel like, if you were going to make a player-for-player trade, again, he could impact a game, potentially the level of some of those other spots, like a defensive end or something like that as well, too. So I'm not saying that they're going to trade into the Browns for Myles Garrett at this point. Dylan Gabriel and A.J. Brown, chat? Hey, yo. It could be pretty scary at this point. See, like, I guess you can't trade him to Minnesota. And, Carson Wentz, A.J. Brown, like, I don't know if he's going to be happy. Would it be an Addison for AJ Brown type move, and then you get maybe Addison and some future picks back in a better, I guess if it's an NBA, a better team building move, but I don't know if you're a better team this year and, ultimately what that ends up being as well too. New England's going to be a hefty trade team maybe to send guys to because of the way that, again, Drake May is playing. Indy, if they really want to push the chips into the middle of the table, because I guess speaking of rosters, the defense has been concerning the last couple of weeks if some of these opponents are able to have the ease of moving up and down the field the way that they are. But I guess they're not a personnel playmaker guy defensively away from, making a major run. And that'd be the whole point as well too. Or because I guess offensively, even if Daniel Jones was struggling, you would still assume that Jonathan Taylor playoffs, you could get something there that could be, that kind of Derrick Henry light playoff run that could power your team. And then just hope that Daniel Jones is a little bit better than Tannehill in that run at that point. Miami, would it be like a A.J. Brown for Jalen Phillips type move? That could be really interesting. Chop Robinson, chat? Hey, yo, okay, they got Chop Robinson graded out at 103 to 110 out of 103rd out of 110 defensive ends. Hey, yo, chat. Shout out to Chop Robinson. I don't know, are they grading it based on this year's Penn State's team or this year's Chop Robinson performance? I'm not exactly sure, but I feel like maybe a couple of the moments that we watched him, he did play well. So good timing on our part. Maybe he's just a good timing player. There is a tier of guys that's like, well, yeah, they haven't been good this year, but you tuned in and watched them at the right moment. They made a couple of plays, so maybe that's just like good that we have Chop Robinson stock accidentally like that, but. I feel like that's a little bit low at this point as well, too. Chubb, I guess, Dolphins defense hasn't necessarily been lights out, so it'd be weird if they had a bunch of really great individual performance. It'd be like, okay, but their defense is not good. Well, maybe not. But Fitzpatrick, does Fitzpatrick get traded? Because he feels like another one where he's not necessarily multiple first-round picks at this point. He's definitely playing better, so I don't know what they here. Let's see. I guess that was kind of a player for player trade because they did trade Ramsey, and I think that's why that trade was so fun, honestly, because that was a little bit of a rare trade. So I don't remember if there was picks going back and forth in that deal as well too. But you get two defensive backs moved around that way. It is pretty fun. So 2025, it just says the Steelers traded Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Dolphins. Oh, here we go. Wait a second. Trades by the Steelers with a 2027 fifth to the Dolphins for a seventh, Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. That's right. Jonnu Smith was in the deal as well too. And that's been really good for both teams because I think Ramsey's been a really fun safety for Pittsburgh this year. And not to say that Fitzpatrick obviously couldn't have been a good slot corner safety guy for him as well too. But there has been a physicality there with Ramsey this year that has been fun and an energy that he's brought to the defense. Seems like every time he's out there, making big plays, he's definitely able to swing the momentum. So a fifth for Fitzpatrick. Again, if you're Miami, could you get a third for him? And the Jalen Ramsey piece, I don't know if you're having to do too much basketball math or too much NBA, chat, what sport? Too much NFL math and be like, trade math, be like, okay, we could have gotten this for Jalen Ramsey if he's playing like this now, but we did get this. So if we need to make sure to get this in return, like, I don't know if you can necessarily do that. You just have to kind of be, okay, we got the 5th round pick back for Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's playing really well. So if somebody's able to, up our offer in a major way, then, maybe we have to consider that. So 2nd round pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I guess he is a little bit, 28, safeties. Got to give him a shot. I mean, he has been in the Pro Bowl each of the last 3 years. So maybe not as elite production over the last 2. Based off of that, first team All-Pro and the first team All-Pros, they are spread out there every couple of years. So maybe he's back on track, chat. First team All-Pro slot corner. I mean, he's not in the conversation at this point. I mean, he's probably having a better year than Surtain anyways. I don't know. Again, Dolphins defense, if it really counts as well. But free Minkah Fitzpatrick, and maybe hot take, maybe he likes Miami, chat. That could not be, that would not be surprising at all. He did have week 2 against the Patriots, 2 targets, 2 completions, 18 yards. And then this week against the Chargers, 8 targets, 4 completions, 49 yards, and a touchdown. His first touchdown of the year. So, passer rating's not everything on this side of things as well, too. If you could have, 104 passer rating, but you're 2 for 2 for 18 yards, it's still pretty good. But 62.3 overall in the season does feel about right. I guess you got a game against Carolina where you have 1 target, 0 completions, so like a 0 passer rating is like the best performance of all time, I guess. So it maybe evens out for some exaggerated good stats ones as well. But this is a ripe trade team, chat. Hey, yo, make no mistake. I bet the Dolphins phones are ringing like crazy now. I mean, maybe the Dolphins are making calls, chat. I don't know. I mean, even Waddle at this point, shout out. I know that they've looked a little bit more competent over the last couple of weeks. So I don't know if they're thinking playoffs at this point. Is it looking unreasonable? I know it's only week 6, so you need a couple of games. And all of a sudden, your season's turned around. You look like you get back in the mix. But, yeah, chat, 1-5. That's right. I guess they've looked better. They haven't gotten any more wins, though, over the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, maybe now is the time where you're like, okay, we were competing. We thought maybe if the season was going to turn, it would be in those couple of weeks. But just commit at this point. If you're going to commit to Tua, like Tua needs the help, chat. Should this just be the who should tank rankings at this point? Maybe, again, we kind of know who these teams are starting to be because the record discrepancy is just having it be that way. You have the Saints at 1-5, Dolphins, Ravens, Browns, Titans also at 1-5, and the Jets. So the Ravens are another interesting trade team because you do get Lamar and you do get Roquan Smith back this week. And I was saying another big injury guy, injury return. It was going to happen this week, or not this week, but the next time they play, I should say, because they are on bye this week, upcoming week 7. But they'll be back in week 8, and then their schedule gets really, really crazy easy. But Baltimore has been obviously an inconsistent team at closing out some of these games. So even if they get all these guys back and they do have these second half of the year runs, would not be totally surprising. I guess I'm not betting against it per se, but I guess Chicago is looking a little bit better. And if week 7, I guess I don't know if they have week 7 buys well too. We'll double check that. But if they're playing in week 7, they have a potential to continue to up their stock. The Dolphins would be a good team to be playing. The Vikings, good feisty team, obviously, but we'll see if McCarthy's back at this. I guess I don't know what the extent of McCarthy, especially with if Carson Wentz is playing better than him. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But that's not necessarily a unwinnable game as well too. If you're fully healthy and starting to play better after a couple weeks back, the Browns, the Jets, you got the Bengals twice, the Steelers twice, as well too. Patriots, Packers. But again, they're 1-5 right now. So if they even have 2 losses over the rest of the season, then you're looking at 10-7. And then if you go to 3, we're 9-6. 9-6, probably not making the playoffs in the NFC. And again, or the AFC. And the Patriots, week 16 is not like Patriots have the AFC East locked in the first place. Like they're going to need to be resting guys. They're still going to be playing, probably needing that win. So that's a losable game. Are they going to take both wins against the Steelers? The Steelers seem to be playing really well right now. So that feels like they're going to lose one of those games as well too. So, and then I would say Packers is a losable game as well too. So we could say 3 losable games there for sure. Even if we're not giving them all those losses, 3 losable games and then 5 winnable ones. Like to go 5 for 5 in your winnable. I guess we got to go 4 for 4. I don't know if we go Bears in winnable game at this point. I guess we really have to go back and check the tapes and see, how kind of maybe up and down a performance it was. I know they were in the low 20s, so a defensive sort of slower game. Those are obviously their type. Unless they're playing the Cowboys. Hey, yo. But, 4 for 4, I guess, is not crazy on winnable games. Maybe we go 6 for 6 Bengals. Yeah, Chad. We got to put the Bengals in there as well, too. I guess December 14th, maybe Burrow's back for the Week 15 game, but that, you never know. You never know. And I guess they would be, just because of the tanking stuff, maybe Burrow would be sitting because of that as well. But they could, again, really add talent and bulk up because this year does seem wide open. So if they really believe in the fact that they can turn this season around and just make the playoffs, and that if, Lamar, Derrick Henry, these guys are healthy and good to go, that we can make a run, then you could add another premier talent guy into the mix as well too, and really help it changes. So they could get a receiver, of course, like AJ Brown, I guess, or like AJ Brown. Hey, who couldn't? Like we're saying, but they could be a receiver team because of the fact that they still kind of need that number 1 guy. Zay Flowers has definitely been good, and Hopkins has been surprisingly good as well too on the PFF scale. He hasn't necessarily played a ton of snaps compared to the other receivers, but they do have him graded out pretty highly. So if we spell his name right, then we can double check his stats here. DeAndre Chet, I guess we're idiots. We don't know what we're spelling. Yeah, neither does Pro Football Reference apparently. Do we have to apostrophe correctly? I don't know, Chat. I guess just Hopkins will be fine. It's not going to be Anthony. Oh, capital A. Oh, did we have no E? Okay, shout out. We're fools, Chat. So he has been, again, very consistent with his targets, even though there have only been basically 2 a game. He's got them all. Positives, but it is 2 touchdowns in 13 targets. His red zone jump ball abilities have been really effective for this team. So he could be he's still probably a fifth, sixth round pick guy at this point. Not to be disrespectful, but again, he is still a little limited in areas that you're going to use him on the court or on the field. So you're not, I don't think, even still as good as he has been this year, trading him for a number 1 receiver. He has been a very good number 2 when he's out there, but I don't even know still that's the ideal kind of placement that you want him in your lineup as well. But, they would never trade him to Kansas City or Buffalo, but obviously it would help both those teams. Or if they got another receiver as well, too, he could definitely be a guy. So, the T. Higgins trade rumors, I imagine they have to start emerging at some point. But if you're Cincinnati, if you're any NFC North team that needs to be thinking about which guys that you need to, turn into future assets, I feel like it's got to be Cincinnati. And T. Higgins has gotten his contract at this point. So, again, with the NFL, I don't know if there is like an NBA, you stay with your team, you get more money. I don't really think so. But regardless, they still paid him all that money. And, again, he, shout out. Not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying if it was a factor in him returning, then, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a factor in him staying because he does have that contract that teams are got to pay him regardless of where he goes, I guess. Well, I guess in the NFL, whatever the waiver rules and stuff like that are, but 35 targets this year, 18 catches, 222, 2 touchdowns. Last year, 911 yards, and then 10 touchdowns is by far his best individual touchdown productive season. And his success rating, has really taken a dip. He's in at least the mid 50s and 60s even throughout the course of his career, but 48.6% this year. So again, I guess we have to give, some leeway there because of maybe what is happening with the roster around him. But if Cincinnati was able to get a first-round pick could you get a first-round pick for T. Higgins? Could you get an early second? Would one of these potential early second teams give up one of their picks? And I guess it'll show us here what they have. The Ravens, chat. Could the Ravens give up 34 for T. Higgins? I mean, I feel like that's about where he got drafted as well, too. So at this point in his career, I don't know if that is as major of concern not as well. But 34 is, if you're getting a top 35 pick, obviously in the NFL draft, that is, you still have to basically kind of put some first-round value on those first couple of second-round picks, because there is going to be some of those fall out of the first-round talent names available at that point. And then your ability to even trade that pick on draft day the next day is there as well too. Ruben Bain to the Ravens, chat. I mean, they just need to tank, honestly. I think they do need to tank. I think maybe Lamar does return and all that stuff is fine. I mean, I definitely want to see Lamar back. He's so much fun to watch and, makes the league so much better. But you know what else would make the league better? Lamar Jackson and Ruben Bain on the same team. Holy cow. I mean, that kind of edge presence is, like we're saying, exactly what they need for this roster. Unfortunately, they just can't draft him into the middle of the season and just have him there. Do we need to have a mid-season draft, Chad? I know they're talking about how do we align it with free agency, but maybe we align it with free agency by putting it in the middle of the year. Hey, pause. And just say, hey, the Ravens can add Ruben Bain. I guess he can just go to the NFL right now. I mean, that would really shake up the college landscape in terms of the title odds, I would believe. But for the Ravens, that's again a guy that they could really stand out in their team. So did the Brewers just score again? Does that make it 2-2? Oh, chat, maybe they are going pause swing for swing with the Dodgers. Shout out. Oh, fans holding a stressed look like the call just got called back. So I don't know what happened there. Oh, yeah, there is no points on the board, chat. No extra points on the board. It's still 2-1. So shout out Dodgers. Bottom of the 5th now. Looking to start to turn the corner here and look at the win. And I guess that would make them 2-0 as well too in the series in Milwaukee. Hey, chat. Shout out the dominance. It's looking like it's there. But let's take a quick break. And then we got NFL trades to cook up, chat. We got albums to continue listening to. Of course, rest in peace, our guy D'Angelo, as we cruise through his legendary discography while we cook up some of these fake trades, chat. To NBA preseason, to playoff baseball. Hey, it's always another action-packed episode. Rem and Sam, chat. Whoa! Hey, right up next. Hey, yo, chat, maybe we got to lock into some NBA preseason once again. We got Pels Rockets, third quarter, starters still playing. Does that include Zion? It does, chat, because he's got man in the point right now. Hey, yo, Steven Adams off the dribble. He's taking Steven Adams off the dribble. Steven Adams not off the dribble himself, but getting to the rim, classic sort of Zion spin, not able to get the layup to go, but still drawing the foul. Little Jordan Poole, chat. Jordan Poole. I'm trying to get a Jordan Frool. I don't think it quite works, but Jordan Froyle. Yo, chat. Who's the guy? Adonis Foyle? Is there a Foyle that I'm thinking of from back in the day? Shout out. But Zion at the free throw line right now, making it 60. Making it still 61 to 68. Chat. Ooh, close, but not quite. We got. Like I said, though, starters still in, and I was hearing a little bit today, listening to some NBA stuff that, hey, I guess we haven't been following all of preseason, but they were talking about the Rockets, and they're like, oh, yeah, these guys have been 0-5 today in preseason, or 0-5, not today, not a tournament, not AAU, but 0-5 in preseason, and, again, playing today, has a chance to get their first preseason win, so I don't know if that's why they're playing the starters or not, and obviously I'm assuming the starters haven't played, all of those 5 games the way they would a regular season game. But regardless, it is matchup-wise, maybe are they a little bit more gettable? I guess the question, of course, was going to be, are they going to be a dominant regular season team, playoff team? I give what level of dominance do they get to? Is the athleticism and switchability and versatility of the lineups that they're going to have to throw out there? Again, I guess all ideal things that you would think. Is that going to be just too overpowering for some of these teams to deal with? And maybe just some of the tallest, most athletic lineups that we've ever seen. I don't know. But, watching even just a little bit of the preseason, just barely the third quarter, the amount of Jabari Smith threes that this offense could find itself getting is a little bit interesting. You do have, of course, Sven Goon creating in the middle. And then you have Amen Thompson likes to drive as well, too. And then, if you have Durant kind of working mid-range, obviously the corner, Jabari Smith kind of working up to the wing, probably going to be open as well. So, that's the benefit of being the fourth or fifth guy like that on a roster at a given time, is the focus is going to shift your way where you're going to have more opportunity from time to time. But again, just by nature of, I think, where a lot of these guys look to on the court as well too, like I was saying, Amen Thompson off of those drives and Sven Goon off of those spinning post stuff. Maybe there needs to be a way to put Durant in the corner. Because, again, if you have Durant in the corner, it's not like you just have Durant in the corner. It's not like Durant has to just fire a catch-and-shoot three every time he gets the ball in the corner. He can create off the dribble. He can, offense is going to be a little bit different at that point. But, again, at the top, you got Amen Thompson. You've got Sven Goon, and maybe that's better as well. Sven Goon can operate from the baseline and, do all that type of stuff. Make the mistake. Again, both those guys are good offensive players. There's an ability for them to be versatile over the court, but maybe to maximize them, maybe that is the correct spacing there. Because I guess, again, if Sven Goon is also naturally going to be looking to the corner, if he's just looking for Kevin Durant instead of Jabari Smith, that could be a little bit better. I don't know what you do with Jabari Smith at that point. And, Steven Adams and stuff, there does become some spacing stuff they do have to work out and just figure out, the ways that they want to play as the season goes here. But it turns out this was a good choice, chat. I guess we don't have like a red zone multi-view for the preseason, but we will try to keep an eye on it the best we can and stay up to date. Hey, yo, and right now they got Mendoza. Tankathon's got Fernando Mendoza, the #1 quarterback in the class right now, to the Jets on this mock draft. So we were just talking about the Ruben Bain to the Ravens getting an edge rusher. I guess the Jets do need a quarterback. Dante Moore to the Browns. I guess they didn't really invest in a quarterback in this last draft, even though they did take 2. They obviously waited until day 3. So, hey, yo, chat, we're doing a little math. That means that leads to them, if you take 2 quarterbacks in day 3, you'll be taking a quarterback in day 1. We call it NFL countdown. It is what it is. But maybe that also means Shedeur gets traded as well, too. I guess Shedeur trade machine, chat, is that the place that we should actually, I guess, I don't know if we're starting at this point, but is that what we should mention at this point as well, too? A Shedeur Sanders wish list? I don't know. Like, hey, yo, chat, I don't know if because they're aligned on the screen or if because maybe it actually would make sense, but Is there some type of Shador for Tua possibility? Like, don't DM us at REMINGTOM on Instagram and say that, oh yeah, why would the Browns want Tua? The Browns, chat. The Browns will trade for, maybe just because it's a large contract. Maybe they're just looking at the numbers on the paper. And they're going, well, Tua's getting paid this much, then he must be good. So this trade, if it's available, then I feel like we have to make this trade and get a starting level quarterback. And I don't know if that means you don't take Dante Moore in the first round of next year's mock. I don't know how Browns fans are feeling about this domino effect. But, hey, yo, chat. You get Cleveland to take on another quarterback contract. So I guess they can't really do that, chat. Hey, yo. Pause. It's something that's been rarely said by Cleveland quarterbacks. But they can't take on another contract, I guess, in a major way. Like they, of course, already have with Watson. But player for player, that is kind of fun. And Shador on Miami. I know no Tyreek anymore, but Shador and Waddle is still pretty fun. Shador and Achane is still pretty dynamic as well, too. Another Jabari Smith. Look, Chad. Jabari Smith, 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist on the night. So you do maybe this is a get Jabari Smith involved type game. Can we get him some extra looks in the preseason? Then we get into the regular season. And this stuff starts shaping out. We know how it'll kind of look, and all those pieces will fall into place. But regardless, he is cooking them earlier on, looking good, and like we're saying, being a major part of the Rockets offense. Maybe a little too much. Pause. But yeah, Tua Shador, Tua to the Dolphins, or Tua to the Browns is honestly not that bad of a trade. Jacoby Brissett to I guess it would be more Kyler to Cleveland. That's another large contract, though. Could it be? Is there probably not a rookie contract guy that they could get, or it would have to be a veteran on a more affordable deal. Like if Sam Darnold was really not playing well this year and the Seahawks felt like they had to go a different direction, then maybe they would entertain, a reset type guy or take a swing at a chance at a guy like Shador. And, honestly, thinking about Shador in Seattle is kind of fun. And that team is obviously great. Him and JSN would be a dynamic matchup. And that defense, like we're saying, that the personnel, that defense is pretty scary as well, too. But I don't know if with the quarterback level so far, or just the salary contract as well too, combined with some of that stuff, if Kyler would necessarily be the move. But maybe like Mac Jones, like what's Mac Jones' contract right now for the 49ers? What if the Browns, who just traded away Flacco, traded for Mac Jones? I feel like that'd be one of the most weird moves in NFL history at this point. Miami for Mac Jones would be a little interesting. I don't know how much better they would actually be as a playoff team, but it does feel like their odds to win at least one more game would definitely increase. So, excuse us, chat. Hey, yo. But we would also potentially consider, I guess, the Ravens or the Raiders at this point. Not the Ravens, the Raiders at this point are just a little on the outside looking in from maybe taking a major swing like that. But, hey, yo, Chad. All that being said, maybe Cincinnati, T. Higgins. Maybe T. Higgins goes to the, I don't even remember where we had him landing at this point. The Ravens, I think we had him landing to a bunch of teams as well. But maybe we continue with the Shador theme a little bit as well, too. Let's see here. I don't know if we just go through the list of teams, checklist Shador or not at this point. But San Francisco is probably, if they're going to switch it up at quarterback, they would go Mac Jones. But Purdy would be an interesting trade piece as well, too. IT might have to write his name down and keep him in mind. Everybody, I don't know if everybody, but Raiders fans, of course, like we were saying, do seem to want Shador. That would have been a landing spot in the first round of the draft. That would have made sense. I guess you don't really get GT at that point. So, in a trade, I don't know if it needed to be he needed to get traded there for it to work out for him to play with GT. They could have just taken him later in the draft as well, too. But you get him with GT and Bowers. It is a fun combo of core guys to play with, potentially pause, and build an offense around. Oh, chat. We got the odds. Hey, yo. I guess we were running around today. It is what it is. We're running around like the Dodgers around the plates right now, Chet. Uh-oh. Starting to get a little bit, no, I don't know, when does it start to get the landslide territory in baseball? But 3-1, it does start to feel like, the separation is happening for this Dodgers team. So are we getting a pitcher change? We might, Chet. I don't know how many pitches that guy had, but I think they're kind of going through him now at this point as well too. Like we're saying, this is, I guess, to go down to 2-0, so it would be, definitely series changing type of game for the Dodgers to actually claim the win in this one. But would Philly entertain Shador, Chad, for Jalen Hurts? I mean, imagine Jalen Hurts in Cleveland, or Chad. Hey, yo, that'd be disastrous. It had to not because we don't believe in Hurts' ability to lift a franchise, just because it's Cleveland, and we'd have to get a third team in for his own sake, and not have him traded there, because that would just be a graveyard for his career at that point. Or it would be the Baker thing, where we'd have to, have him go back through a practice squad at some point and rework his way up into the ranks, and then maybe that's when Jalen Hurts would actually win the MVP at that point as well too. Cowboys fans, would you do the Browns trade? They wouldn't trade their first round pick for Dak Prescott. That'd be kind of great. Maybe you would, though. Maybe you would, because you're taking a quarterback anyways. I mean, I just feel like with some of the defensive, would you trade Ruben Bain for Dak Prescott, Chet? I don't know if I would right now. Miami, Florida, Ruben Bain versus Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. I still might not trade for Ruben Bain, or trade for Prescott, though that might be the wrong answer. Obviously, Bain is a pretty incredible talent. But if you're taking quarterback at number 2 anyways, then maybe you do entertain your pick in the trade. Number 2 pick in Shador for... It has to still be more Chad Jalen Hurts. Because if you're the Eagles, you're getting Shador. You're getting, speaking of Ruben Bain, do they have another first? They don't have another first, so that's kind of tough. Oh, they have 21. Never mind. I speak again. I'm corrected, Chad. Hey, yo. They have the potential to take Isaiah World, offensive tackle out of Oregon, with the Jaguars' first-round pick. Oh, is that from the Travis Hunter trade, Chad? Hey, yo. Imagine you get the Travis Hunter trade. You take a wide receiver and a corner in the trade, and then Travis Hunter ends up winning the trade. I don't know who they can take at this point. Maybe Tyson looks like a guy that's the Heisman receiver. Carnell Tate. They could take Carnell Tate. And after that, I don't really know if they have an option for the first round at this point. But, Shador to Philly probably seems a little unlikely. Shador to Tennessee. Would Tennessee swap quarterbacks with their own draft class quarterback? Would they trade Cam Ward after these couple of games for Shador? I don't think so. Oh, chat, is that an error by the Brewers again? Hey, yo, is he safe? I don't know what the error rules are. If you get an error, does that guy get to just round the bases and go? Does he go back to first? I don't know how this goes. But it does seem like the pitching for the Brewers. Hey, yo, chat, can we try to figure out what's going on? The pitching for the Brewers an issue? Or is it the hitting of the Dodgers? I think it might be the hitting of the Dodgers. Ooh, try to throw it between the running man's legs, chat. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to work. Decent toss out to second, though that was a little inaccurate as well, too. I don't know if you probably don't keep running there as well. I don't know when exactly is the appropriate time to take off and not. But another pitching change, chat. We do have Yerby. Oh, this is the guy that was going crazy with the celebrations that we saw. Hey, yo, he's doing like touchdown celebrations for his walk-off pitches, which was pretty sick, honestly, and did make me want to be a Brewers fan. But I don't know if we can just jump on a bandwagon with a team in the divisional round. Maybe the divisional round is the last time you can actually jump on a bandwagon in a real way. And it is, I guess it's still by at this point. You're in the playoffs. You've already won a round. You're one win away from just playing for, I guess in their case, the pennant, or in another sport, a conference type title situation. But as long as they're not in the Super Bowl or having won the Super Bowl, then I feel like we're still just pause barely early enough. it is what it is. But legacy-wise, obviously we're not really comparing ourselves to the rest of what's going on there. But we do have Houston AO chat on the free throw discrepancy up by almost 20 right now, 22-6 in terms of makes attempts for the Rockets. We've got like 6 for less than 10 for the Pelicans. So the physicality getting to the basket, the post up, maybe that'll start to turn the tide a little bit for that stat, and maybe the offense gets going if they can kind of slow stuff down and get in the half court a little bit more. But at least they can get it to continue to cut into the single digit lead here with a couple of their free throws. But the Jets are now officially in purgatory team as well too, because they have not won a game. Their coach is wearing capris, which is the sign that they're just not going to win anymore as well too. If the coach shows up this week in pants, or I guess you don't really show up in shorts for an NFL game, but if he shows up in full pants, then we know that he's locked in and ready to go. That would be the best sign for Detroit fans all year, or for Jets fans all year, would be Aaron Glenn. Just, hey, pause, full pants is crazy, Chad. Aaron Glenn full pants is crazy. But you get what we're saying. Aaron Glenn normal pants, maybe, is the right way to say it. Aaron Glenn with normal pants on would be, probably a welcome sight at this point, and maybe, hopefully, would change the effect to have a win. And maybe this week would actually, be a okay week to jump on, chat. You got the Panthers, the Bengals. I mean, you got the Panthers on the road, or the Panthers traveling on the road to the Jets. So, we'll see. I guess if they're for real now that they have a chance to win a game outside of their home field at this point. And then, like we're saying, the Bengals at this time, of course, are not super crazy as well. But, Wilson would be another receiver that, of course, would be at the top of everybody's list. I mean, have we all forgotten about Alan Lazard, Chad? Is he the Wilson replacement if they need it at this point? Josh Reynolds as well, too. He does feel like a good practice squad wide receiver type guy. Be a third or fourth receiver if you really need him to. If you traded away Garrett Wilson and he needed to take on a bigger role, I don't think that would be the craziest thing to ask of him in the world at this point. You do have still your Breece Hall, Braylon Allen running back tandem as well too. Braylon Allen, that's right, on IR, and I think he's had some fumble stuff this year. Hasn't necessarily been, run away with the job, maybe the way a lot of Jets insiders and people close to the team are thinking. But Breece Hall is a good weapon as well too, and might be the number one running back on the market potentially. I mean, I was kind of thinking about Algier from Atlanta as well too. They do have kind of a similar spot where, they do benefit from each other as a committee, but also individually they're pretty good as well too. Him and Montgomery feel like two main reasons, but Montgomery as well too is another one that is in the mix for those running back cores, though they would never trade him because of, again, their importance to running the offense, and both of them in the dynamics that they bring to the table. But you do have Breece Hall, again, with the two-way stuff and with his receiving ability that can be there. He can be a dynamic, multifaceted, weapon on offense. Hey, if you needed him to be at some point as well, too. So, I guess, again, Braylon Allen's on IR. I was going to say Breece Hall also on IR at this point for the Jets. That's not good. But no, still just Braylon Allen. I guess we weren't thinking necessarily that they announced the time and the time that we were still on here, and they just updated the page. But maybe that we had missed it the first time kind of scanning through. Jelani Woods in the mix as well. Is that from Virginia? That's former Colt Jelani Woods, chat. Shout out. There he is. Colts uni on and everything in the media day picture we got over there. So this is the group of guys, chat. But we do have the studs on defense as well too, with the corner sauce and with Quinn Williams. And we do also have Quincy as well. We can't forget about Quincy. He was a first-team All-Pro last year. The injured guys, I guess, are a little bit different when trading for those. But do the Jets at 1-6 or 1-6? Ayo, being generous. Do the Jets at 0-6 start thinking about a new direction for the team, chat? At this point, not new direction for the team, but new direction for some of these major stars as well too, because those are premium spots with the corner and the defensive tackle, and especially in the way that we've seen the modern NFL go, where, I mean, like we've talked about it personally, the would you rather have the defensive tackle versus the defensive end in those certain conversations? I mean, Quinn Williams would be a guy that you'd bring up in that to prove why you'd want to tackle over a defensive end with how good he's been in his career, and then to complement that with this corner who can be kind of a outside, can just take away the side of the field in a way that not a lot of corners can when he is locked in and going. So you could definitely fetch multiple first-round picks for both those guys. Those are both franchise-altering moves for either team that brings those in. Like, imagine if you're the Ravens right now, like we're saying, maybe having the pick at 3 like this is interesting, with teams value it knowing what that schedule looks like and saying, hey, even if they climb up here, maybe they only get to 16, 15, somewhere in the high end of the potential lottery, maybe or just past that. So maybe it's still not as valuable, but still pretty, more valuable than a really competitive Ravens team that could potentially even be better in the playoffs than they showed in their regular season, I guess. But yeah, Quinnen Williams, I mean, would be insane, of course, if you just sacrifice your future and just traded a bunch of first-round picks for him. And would the Jets, like I'm saying, trade for a Ravens number 3 overall first-round pick right now, knowing that it wouldn't, the matchups do get a little bit favorable as well? I mean, that would be, if you had the matchup favorable person the other way, then maybe it would go. But yeah, the Jets would be maybe, I mean, just because of the number one team on the number one team on the draft board right now, they probably are also the number 1 free guys from this roster team. But I don't know, maybe Miami is that, honestly, as well. Just because that's such a good core of guys when they're together, and we've seen that be good with the Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner scenario. So they just need a little bit more around them. A little bit, a lot, pause. But, some of the other places, maybe it's a little bit more, less work or whatever. But, hey, yo, chat, should we take another quick break and then continue cooking up NFL trades? And, hey, yo, look at that. We just got through the first D'Angelo album, chat. Hey, yo, we got Voodoo up next as well, too. Again, keeping them in our thoughts, keeping them in our music rotation, chat. Hey, yo. And keeping the MLB playoffs on in the background. Rockets starting to pull away from the Pels in the third quarter. Who would have thought? Again, I guess we were starting to go through the roster there. Jordan Poole, that I guess is where the drama started to happen. But shout out. We'll be right back, chat. More NFL trades right after this. Okay, Chad, enough messing around. We've played the first D'Angelo album, Brown Sugar. We've got Cue It Up, the second album, Voodoo, starting now. And now we can actually hit the... Is that the sign to hit the trade machine, Chad? Now it's actually time to work the magic. Hey, yo. But we got the trade machine here to pull up. Let's see what we've got, Chad. Hey, yo. Where did the trade machine go? Uh-oh. Have we not been to the trade machine long enough to have the auto URL thing pop up? I was going to say auto finish chat, but pause. You know, we hate to say it that early. But here, we've got... I want to go back to the A.J. Brown trade, because that still feels like, if we were going unhappy superstar as well, too, still feels like one that could potentially happen, where, again, Kansas City turning around the right way. You know, Buffalo, I don't know. Pause it. Wait, yo, for Kansas City there. I don't know if we have Buffalo with a star in the same type of way. They do have, some defensive line depth if everybody is healthy there, though I don't think they would part with any of those guys. As well, Chad, Jake Browning, #1 on the trade machine right now. I don't know if he's like a coveted trade machine guy at this point. Is this D'Angelo Russell on the trade machine? Who am I not thinking of here for the NFL? Hey, yo, it is what it is. I guess Byron Young from the Rams, who has been one of the league leader in pressures this year. I was seeing him and Verse have been pretty crazy, of course, as we expect. Verse, a little bit more of a name recognition guy there for the Rams, though Young has, again, been kind of every bit as productive. And I guess, shout out to Puka Nacua as well, too. So I don't know why they would start trading off pieces like that as well, too, unless there was like a trade request for him in there, unless they were going to get multiple firsts for him. And, teams are definitely calling about him as well, too. I mean, that could be the case. Not necessarily the Rams shopping him, but it's just everybody's calling. And it's like, well, it seems like there's kind of an unofficial bidding happening that could kind of drive up the price a little bit. Maybe throw in a couple extra picks. But they've got him in the top 15, and they have Verse in the top 5. Hey, yo, so Verse is the 4th best rusher on PFF this year. It's pretty crazy. And again, you have Byron Young at 15. So they also have Poona Ford. Hey, yo, imagine having Poona and Puka on the same team. And I was going to say, Poona Ford as well. I know that he's more of an interior. I was going to say he could take over for Young. But just as defensive line's been good in general as well, too. You've got still good pieces there all throughout. So maybe some secondary help in the mix. I don't know, Chad. We got to trade Byron Young for some. I mean, what if it was like a Byron Young for AJ Brown? I mean, that could be crazy, Chad. I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird. You do have, again, defensive end receiver still feels like just the name, the positive positional value of that does feel like defensive end is, I don't want to say way superior, because again, the contract stuff's not too far off. But you would still gravitate toward that as like a core football team building part of your team, more so than I think receiver first overall. If you choose a elite receiver or an elite defensive lineman, speaking of Aaron Donald, like if you're going Aaron Donald and AJ Brown, and maybe that's not fair to AJ Brown, but if you're going Aaron Donald versus Randy Moss or whatever, I don't know, it's like, okay, both of those options, and I'm probably going to build the defensive line or just any line in general. But, I guess maybe Randy Moss is getting close call there as well, too. But, hey, yo, and I guess Aaron Donald's still in the cap, Chat. Is this trade machine old? Is this why the NFL trade machine, we haven't been there in a while? 23-24. What is this, Chat? Hey, yo, 23-24 is crazy. Does ESPN have NFL trade machine? If not, I guess we can look it up. Oh, wait a second. NFL machine? NFL trade machine. NFL machine, we're going to get a Burt Kreischer halftime story or something like that. NFL trade tracker. Let's see. Oh, over the cap. Okay. We got it. Wait, does NFL.com have one as well, too? Oh, shout out, chat. They might. I didn't realize, but it is what it is. I mean, just because chat. They don't. How the trade machine works? Evaluates each trade. Where's the trade machine tool at, though? Hey, yo. How do we have a link for the help support before we have a link for the tool? Do we miss it? Hey, yo. On NFL.com? That's kind of crazy, chat. I don't know. I feel like NFL.com. I mean, we got to just sidebar go scout NFL.com real quick, because I feel like a trade machine's got to be something you got to have up there for displaying kind of obviously. I mean, make no mistake. I like looking at news and stats, I guess, but I feel like a trade machine, the interaction of that is pretty crazy. I mean, for the ones that are going to pause, use it, right? I don't know. But it doesn't look like... It looks like it's buried somewhere, chat. We may have to pause. We may have to try to uncover the NFL.com trade machine somewhere else. Either way, I think this over-the-cap trade machine should work. Unless this is just picks and stuff. Here, we'll have to see. But we did have... Oh, I guess I don't know what team we just selected there. But we were looking for the Rams because we were trying to trade Byron Young. And I guess maybe if you're the Packers, not right. If you're the Rams or if you're the Eagles, maybe you want Verse. I mean, obviously, if you're trading A.J. Brown. But that's still a pretty good deal as well, too. And they did make that Bryce Huff, Hassan Reddick trade. So there is some willing for them to, of course, save on the cap versus the production. They'll make the evaluation there on what is necessary. So I don't know if, Young is not playing this again with as well as he's playing. It's not like he's not going to not get paid at some point when he's up for that extension. But as of right now, anyways, at least him not being the first round pick means a little bit something. And then just that, maybe there's a Pro Bowl name value thing that kind of happens there. Just him making Pro Bowls and stuff like that. I don't know. But if it was him for A.J. Brown, I guess I don't know. Hey, yo, now we're just playing random computer games. Okay. That's not what we wanted. Okay, back to the trade machine here. Let's see if we can actually get this trade to go through, chat. We'll figure it out at some point. Don't worry. I think maybe we'll figure it out. We can't just lock it in yet. But, so the contract stuff is a little bit overwhelming in favor of A.J. Brown at this point. So do they have to put in a Kevin Dotz, a Rob Havenstein to match salaries? I don't know if the NFL works that way. And I don't think this has a submit button either. I think it just kind of evaluates as we put in the different pieces. But points value gained 0. Winner of this trade is obviously the Rams. So we have to throw in picks, chat. Hey, yo, a third, a second. A.J. Brown is Byron Young, a second. I mean, are we talking a first? I guess the Rams don't have their first this year. But, I mean, you think if you have A.J. Brown and Puka Nacua, I mean, I guess Devontae Adams is pretty good, though. We were just hyping him up, so maybe you don't need A.J. Brown as well, too. I mean, obviously, yeah, Puka, so I guess if you can throw it to him 40 times in 4 weeks, then you don't really need any other receivers anyways. Just play 7-man football, and it's your offensive line and Puka Nacua at that point. But, maybe just having like we're saying, the gravity out there as well, too. I mean, A.J. Brown's gravity would be crazy. But, hey, yo, chat, I feel like this trade machine, maybe there is a submit button. Byron Young in 2 seconds for A.J. Brown. I mean, I love A.J. Brown, but Byron Young's good as well, too. So they're putting a lot of stock. And I think they're calculating, I think they might be calculating the salaries of those potential picks as well, too. More so than, evaluating what those picks might be. It's just like, okay, A.J. Brown's number is a high-level number, a high-level player. So, $8 million player, second-round pick. It's kind of getting that 1 year, rookie value instant, what an $8 million player is, I guess, versus, what a rookie could be. But a second, a third, hey, yo, let's just throw a first in here to see what happens. A.J. Brown, a first, 2 seconds, and a Byron Young. Yeah, chat, this is crazy. Okay, there we go. I mean, just to, so we do have to surpass from salaries. Okay, over the cap, not really an honest trade. The Fitzgerald Spellberger evaluation method, apparently is what they're calling it here, is a little flawed, I would say, because I don't know if A.J. Brown is quite worth a first, a second, third, fourth, fifth, and another second, and Byron Young. But I could see, having to add up the rookie salaries, how you could potentially arrive at that number there. But that is maybe, Byron Young in a second is getting a little too much, chat, at this point. If you can flip this in the salaries, honestly, I feel like this is even enough at this point with the way he's been playing. Again, he's been one of the best defensive ends in the league. To be honest, again, I don't want to get too hot takey here, but maybe with defensive end value, you might have to throw a little pick back. Is this Byron Young in like a third for A.J. Brown in a fifth? Maybe it's a little lower. Again, maybe it's the fifth, seventh type exchange. But there might be picks going back the other way, kind of like that as well, too, to neutralize the deal a little bit more. But that would be interesting. Again, maybe A.J. Brown is not the number one talent you'd want to get with that pick. Maybe you'd go secondary help. So maybe, chat, this would be a interesting Sauce Gardner trade. And you would think, okay, well, trading a defensive end for, or trading your cornerback for a defensive end. Is your defense getting better overall? Again, you are 0-6. So are you set up long term better? Is long term Byron Young better than Gardner? But maybe you do throw in picks at that point. And honestly, this is where the Fitzgerald Spellberger evaluation method might be a little bit more accurate, because we may need a first in this one as well too. I don't know. Sauce Gardner, we're still evaluating him on that first team All-Pro talent, and I guess Young is starting to play on that level as well too, of at least getting into that All-Pro mix. Though, like we're saying, Sauce has kind of already been there. So Sauce, and maybe this is like, I don't know, just Sauce and Verse. Do you think, okay, Young takes over the defense, but I still think you got to build your defense around Verse as the main pass rusher with as good as Young has been this year. So this trade would definitely, I'd be a little bit more confident if I was the Rams GM. But if you're getting good pick value back too, if you're the Jets, then obviously have to consider. And I guess they're 20. Oh, they have 2 firsts next year, Chad. So they have Atlanta's first and their own first. So not necessarily amazing picks either way. I guess where is Atlanta here on the trade machine at this point? They've got Ayo was the Spellberger method a year behind as well too. 2025. Yeah, Ayo, even Spellberger, even over the cap is behind on the trade machine. Ayo, I just assumed over the cap would be accurate, but I'm assuming it's closer to accurate on the salaries. But either way, yeah, we agree on the 2026 draft. So this 2025 draft, I guess, is already... Oh, I guess it's, it's pre-draft. It knows what the picks are, obviously, but it hasn't updated for who those players are at this point. So we'd have to go cross-reference that as well, too. But, I guess you're not trading Membu at this point, or whoever that tackle was that the Jets got, because he did seem like he was having some good preseason moments and stuff as well too. So he'll have his, I'm sure, ups and downs, but seems like he's good value going forward as well. So 3 picks to work with in the first 2 rounds for the Rams. They could get feisty with some trades. I mean, could you trade both? You're not trading both your first this year for Sauce Gardner, are you? But hey, I mean, maybe you just do that trade, Chad. 2 firsts for Sauce Gardner. I mean, to be honest, would the Jets not consider it? I feel like that would probably be a little too much at this point, though. It does still say, obviously, the Rams are winning the trade. That would feel like 3 first-round picks for Sauce. That's not, I guess, NBA value, it feels right, but I don't know, NFL value starting to feel a little quarterback level at that point. So I don't know if you want to start sacrificing your future that much. But again, the sneaky thing about a move like this is you're not really sacrificing your future as well too. It's a instantaneous type trade because you do have, I guess, let's see, your first in 2027, I'm guessing. Yeah, so you go back into the next draft in 2027 with your normal stash of picks. Obviously, whatever trades we cook up at the deadline next year, start trading away those picks. And the Rams do love trading away their picks as well too. So the Rams should be the number 1 team we look to see who, they're gonna trade their first round picks for somebody. It's just, who is it? So Sauce Gardner is, I think, an interesting, obviously, option as well. Maybe it's a little bit of a lower end corner than that. I'm not sure, but if we were going for a big swing, that would obviously be one. And I have to say, look at the names here. Kobe Durant is pretty good too, and Williams, I think, has been feisty this year for him. Yeah, Darius Williams, they got him ranked at 13th right now on PFF. So, the Rams, again, I don't know if defense has really been their problem. I guess we have to go back and look and double check when they got their stops as well too. But individual talent's still pretty good. So you kind of shuffle your corners around. I'm sure that, bringing in Sauce is not going to hurt. Maybe moving Kobe Durant into more of a slot role or something like that. Or maybe Williams is better at that. I'm not sure. But Cam Curl is an awesome safety as well too. He was giving Daniel Jones problems all over that Colts game, and is a major reason why we lost as well too. Outside of Adonai Mitchell, Cameron Curl was making turnover level plays in that game as well. So I don't know. Reeder is a good linebacker at times, though. Not this year on the PFF grade. And then Landman, is this a walking Paramount Plus TV show, chat? What's going on here? It's a cast member from Landman named Nate Landman, who is the 11th best linebacker in the league for the Rams. So maybe another linebacker. Like, I don't know, is this a Roquan Smith type of move if the Ravens want to start mixing stuff up, and if Roquan Smith is going to be a little up and down this year as well too. I don't know if you're going to get a first-round pick for Roquan Smith, but do they have other picks to work with here? Maybe because they have the 2 first, maybe you could get a second for Smith. When he got traded from the Bears to the Ravens, I believe that's what it was. So he has played better on the Ravens than he had on the Bears. Like his highest level of football has been on the Ravens, but and it would have been that season that he got there as well. Or I guess the season after, that stretch was pretty crazy for sure. And he was first team All-Pro as well, even last year, for sure. So in 4 games, he does have a fumble return touchdown as well, 63 yards. Hey, yo, Chad. I forget what game this is, but this is a highlight as well too. I'm like, wait a second. I do remember seeing a Ravens defender streaking down the sideline at one point this year. So shout out. That might have been, was that in the Kansas City game? Is that why I'm forgetting about it? Because that game ended up being forgettable for the Ravens? I don't know. But 4 tackles for a loss is what he had all of last year in 4 games already this year. 3 QB hits, again, matching that. So attacking the quarterback, he's been good. I don't know if in coverage he is giving up a little bit more this year. Let's see. A little bit more, but never really, I guess, had a dominant QB rating at the linebacker spot as well. But first round, second round pick, I guess. I don't know, maybe a first would be a little obviously more enticing. But yeah, second and a 5th. So maybe it's the 5th that is lost with the injuries. Second and a 7th. I don't know, second and a 6th for a 7th. And Roquan Smith, Roquan Smith in a 7th for a 2nd and a 5th at that point. So now you have the tax of Roquan Smith's injuries is like thrown on a 6th or a 7th round pick. That would be pretty fair. And that would honestly be like, the problem would be that could feel like a Super Bowl type move as well too. A change of scenery could be nice. LA, I don't know if that would be a, upgraded living situation, make him feel like he is extra motivated to play well again too. McVay over Harbaugh as coach at this point feels pretty unanimous, not even a debate. So, I think we would like the situation a little bit better for him as well too. And with just better personnel in the front 7 could help him out. Maybe the Ravens do have a little bit better personnel in the positive back 7, but statistically this year as well too, it hasn't really been adding up. So I guess that would be a defense that has good personnel and not good numbers. We were saying that about the Dolphins a little bit earlier. So the Rams could also, like we're saying, I guess anybody could go for any of these guys, but Jalen Phillips and stuff, I guess they don't need defensive linemen per se. So they could go, Philadelphia Eagles style and bring in another one and add the depth. And make no mistake, if the Rams, I guess, I take it back, chat, because if they did add another defensive lineman, it would continue to be like, whoa, like that is crazy. They already have these 2 edges. The interior has played really well, and now you're just continuing to bulk up that rotation and, what that would maybe mean for the individual as well too. Like, part of the Philly depth is not just, they have all these great guys, but the guys are able to play better as well too. Obviously, there's a freshness, and you're able to, if substitutions allow for it, you're able to pick and choose to use the best guys for their skill sets for the given moments. And Josh Sweat, we can activate him here on this set of downs when he's more effective, and then we can bring in Nolan Smith for a fresh set of legs on this set of downs when it works, and then we can go a jumbo set if we need to in a short yardage situation. You have the versatility. If you do add like Bradley Chubb on your team, boy, it's not gonna, Bradley Chubb, how does he fit in next to, Jared Verse and Byron Young? That's just gonna be like when the Dolphins traded for him. It was like, oh, wait a second, are they starting to form together a pretty terrifying defensive line? And again, it really hasn't, obviously, unfortunately, mounted around for that as well too. Hendrickson, we didn't mention Hendrickson when we were talking about the Bengals. We were talking about T. Higgins, obviously. Maybe we're talking about fantasy trades there secretly, but maybe not trading for him. Maybe, just the fantasy mindset is you're thinking of T. Higgins first. But Hendrickson as well too, who, again, they've paid. He got his money and is still a really good producer, but it's clear that, and their defense does still have a little bit of a rise to the occasion effect. It was obvious, maybe Packers offense as well too hasn't necessarily been as stellar as we would have liked. So maybe it speaks a little bit more on the Packers offense than the Bengals defense in that last game. But it's not necessarily super surprising as well if Cincinnati's in like a late afternoon Sunday game and it's kind of low scoring and the defense is getting stops and turnovers. Like, for as much as the defense plays bad, like, I feel like we've seen him play well enough in those late games that I still kind of trust some of those, like Hendrickson and stuff to get some stops. But even still, him for like he could be a first round pick type guy again, just because of the edge value stuff, and he would lead the league in sacks a year or two ago as well. So he's not far. Hey, yo, chat, we got the battery running out of the speaker. Hey, yo, we got to figure out how to fire back up. I think we might have left the charger in another room, unfortunately. It is what it is. But, you could get more return, I think, for Hendrickson than he is providing on the field at this point, sort of elevating the whole defense, around him as well, too. And, it's not a ton of defensive ends as well that just elevate an entire defense in a crazy way. I mean, it's like just those handful of guys that, at the top of the class. And not to say that Hendrickson can't be on the, in the tier with those guys on a given day if he's making those plays. But, again, their defense is still a little week to week inconsistent, where they would maybe need some help long term to, get some other spots as well, too, with the offensive line. And just some extra capital for the rest of the team. And, they've built their defense as well. Like we say, it does still have players that can step up and make plays. So I'm not sitting here and saying that I haven't necessarily liked a lot of the draft picks that they've made, but that is again, how they built their defense, because they've been paying their offense, and it still is a smart strategy. But you have to, obviously, your defense is going to be as good as your drafting. So they do have the defense that they drafted, where it is, like we're saying, can definitely buckle down for a good week. But just over the course of the season, you see where the stats end up lining up as well, too. So, the fact that they've drafted all these guys and it just hasn't quite worked out, there's a little bit of a, needing to replenish the talent standpoint from that on defense. And if you traded some of your bigger contract guys as well, too, you could start to, and, you're just back to where, okay, a couple seasons ago, you should have done this. You should have maybe invested in different spots in the roster. But I feel like we were kind of both ways with it as well, too, where I don't know when, when T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson were both up for contracts, it was like, no, I think both those guys need to get paid for the level of production that they've had. But we did also kind of know that this was going to lead to what the Bengals have done. So, again, we can't really sit here and say that they shouldn't have done this, but this is the timeline that it made. This is one of the timelines that it could have taken, where the team's a little top heavy and maybe it needs to get reset a little bit. So maybe Hendrickson to the Rams, I don't know. We're trading him a lot of big contracts as well, too. Maybe that's not quite ideal. Do we just keep saying AFC North trades, chat? Hey, yo, Browns to Bengals. Do the Bengals just trade to the Ravens? I'm not sure if anybody wants to trade to the Steelers, because Tomlin was talking smack about the trade. But if Hendrickson goes to the Ravens, then maybe he would get really suspicious as well. Though Roquan Smith to the Rams would be fun. I could see Roquan Smith in a Rams jersey. That does make some sense. Though they could, use the secondary help as well, too. Though they would probably be, just to see Lamar with a crazy receiver as well would be, so much fun. And, especially now to see the level of, and not to say that we didn't, again, sort of know how effective he was as an MVP there, but just to, have it reinforced how much he's carrying on that offense with the fact that Cooper Rush is in there right now, and, just any sort of backup as well, with the way that, again, personnel, the way he's able to just elevate that whole group. In chat, hey, yo, we've got 1:27 left in this preseason game. We got the Pelicans down by 4 to the Rockets, so I got to double check who's, okay, I don't think we have any starters in the game. I'm like, we got to, pay attention? Are the Pelican starters about to close out the Rocket starters? What's happening here? But, no, I think it's Cam Whitmore versus, who do we got? Jordan Hawkins? I mean, that's kind of fun. J.D. Davidson? Is that who we got for the Rockets? M.A. Udoka bringing in his Boston guy, J.D. Davidson? Ooh, chat. Whitmore, strong to the basket. You love to see it. Him and Wemby? Do we need to do a strongest shoulders, chat? Do we need to do a Dwight Howard shoulders ranking? Hey, yo. It is what it is. But, it's the NBA. We know that now you got to name your awards after a legend. So if we're going to go, maybe, well, I don't think we can name him the Karl Malone Shoulder Awards. I don't know if Karl Malone gets an award named after him. I don't know what he wants to. But either, maybe modern time, we go Dwight Howard. Shout out. But the Dwight Howard, and, Wemby maybe not looks-wise, but, of course, you see some of these highlights. The way he is maybe making an effort to show the physicality early on is kind of encouraging. And to be honest, I wouldn't say the most encouraging thing he could have added to his game, because if he just stepped into the season and it was like, wait a second, Wemby's going to be 40% from three this year, he just figured it out, then, it's like, hey, we'll accept any sort of development to his game that he has. And that is the special thing about Wemby, of course, as a player, is he does have the potential as much as, well, I guess, he does have the potential to increase his skill set in all of these different ways, because he's such a versatile, skillful player. But he is still, a traditional big man in some sense. And if he was developing those more traditional, plus big man skills, then that's also a good thing as well too. And I don't know if strength is a traditional big man skill, but I think it kind of is. And I think bully ball is maybe not a skill, but at least, again, a thing you can go to as well too. And it is like, I don't want to say he looked Giannis-y, because again, Giannis is a different level of bully under the basket. Just nobody can say what. I mean, I don't think that even if Wemby is showcasing, and to be honest, the highlights that we did see in some of the bully ball stuff were against Isaiah Jackson, and I think he did cook Isaiah Jackson last year as well too. I mean, he cooked a lot of guys last year. It is what it is. But make the mistake, Khalil Ware was putting up a fight in the preseason game. There was some other stuff in some other games where it's like, we'll see what this team is this year. I don't know if we're going to win the title, hot take. But, it's a long season. Wemby will get better as well, too, over the course of the year. We're not doubting that. But, again, just in terms of what do we want to see him be better at over the course of the year, it's like, hey, if he's better at the balance and the strength around the basket and can shrug some of these guys off a little bit, and he's also 7'5", it's like maybe he doesn't need to be as worried about totally clearing the defender in the ways that some guys are, but if he is, then that's good as well too. But either way, Cam Whitmore still stronger driver at this point than Wembanyama. It is what it is. And make no mistake, I was gonna say, when we get to the NBA season, which is almost here, we'll be firing up the trade machine for Cam Whitmore as soon as possible. But he might be a player for him this year as well too. Of course, Van Fleet already hurt. But just with his talent and with the way that team might trend, he might be a guy that they're able to add in. And Chad, it is 128-128. The Rockets are going to have the last shot. Hey, 10 seconds left in the game. It's tied up. You got to give it to Whitmore. Is that Holiday with the ball right now? Who's got the ball? Hey, Chad, it's preseason. They drive. Oh, it's an easy layup. I take it all back. It was a good matchup. It was Holiday, Chad. Yeah, shout out. Aaron Holiday. He's the pro. He is the savvy veteran in the moment. As much as we love Cam Whitmore, we're not going to be mad with him making that look, and he did make it look really easy right there with the drive to the basket. I mean, shout out Jordan Hawkins. He's a guy that we have stock in for sure. His perimeter game is very encouraging, but that was a pretty easy drive there by Holiday. The contained by Hawkins. There was definitely an effort. We can't be mad. But speaking of balance and getting kind of pushed off your spot on the dribble, Holiday was able to, get into the lane there and create space with the shoulder. So a second. 1.8 seconds left on the clock. So I guess almost 2, a little different than 1. But 1.8 seconds left on the clock. Enough time, speaking of Hawkins, for Hawkins to get a little dribble 3. And I would not be surprised if that was the play as well, too. But good floater by Holiday there in the paint as well too. So, Chad, we gotta cook up some more trades here and see what we've got. So we did have the Rams in a couple trades. Maybe, we haven't really looked at the AFC South yet. We could look at the Colts, and I did see a report that was mentioning that maybe the Colts do get active, in the trade machine as well, because they haven't been a team that has been crazy active. I mean, they'll make a little move here or there, but again, not necessarily a big swing type team. So if this was a year where they did feel like, we are pretty close if the seeding gets favorable. Oh, chat, they were looking for the Hawkins 3. Oh! Hawkins around the screen didn't get the first pass, but they inbounded it to Fears and make the mistake. Fears has no fear. He will take the shot. It was I guess I can't say it. I don't even know anymore. The NBA, if you get a wide open 30-footer, is it a good look? I mean, there's a decent chance it goes in the modern NBA, but, regardless, he was open and it went off the back rim, so it's not like it was way off. But unfortunately, it doesn't go down. The Rockets do get their first win of the preseason. I don't know how many more preseason games they have left, but at least they're not going to be winless there. So the Durant Houston era, finally they get a win. Though I don't know if this is the finally they're looking for as well. And chat, I don't know, the attendance for the Pelicans preseason game not looking much different than a regular game. Ayo, called out. It is what it is. I feel like the Pelicans fans at times disrespected. There's still a passionate basketball community down there, but not always at game 35 of the regular season when the Pelicans are playing bad as well, too. It's not always the fault of the Pelicans. But regardless, the Colts. Hey, yo, what do they need? The weapons at receiver are, of course, underrated. And Tyler Warren being injected into the receiving corps as well, too, just gives you that safety blanket option that feels like kind of a number one guy. I know you're not necessarily looking around the NFL thinking who are the best number one options for receivers, receiving threats right now. But Tyler Warren is a guy that could definitely get there as well, too, by the end of the year. I think with the way that he is playing is the way they continue to get him more involved in the passing game. And we know that Pittman and Downs and all these other guys are a really good core, even if Warren wasn't in the mix there. So he only elevates, their capability of the run game. And then, like we were saying, with Taylor as well, too. So it would definitely be, as it was in the regular, or going into the season, secondary help. Bynum has been, a good safety. Ward has been a pretty consistent corner this year. But we could use some more cornerback help as well, too. Speaking of Minka, chat, hey, yo, can we get Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins? I mean, that'd be nice. The safety spot, maybe we need a little bit more traditional corner. Because speaking of the Dolphins, we had Xavier Howard, and that was not going crazy. Hey, yo, chat, do we go the Cowboys? Like, I do wonder if Diggs and Bland are guys that do end up on the trade machine. And maybe the Cowboys just like the names of those guys. Well, too, again, having had the all-star level seasons, at least you can say, we have the all-pros at corner, even if they're not producing. And Jerry Jones did give them extensions as well, too. So I know that, the Parsons thing was a little bit different. But yeah, Diggs right now, 59th best corner in the league, according to PFF, and Bland at 69th. So you see some consistent production across the Cowboys secondary. Donovan Wilson at 70th for safeties. And Wanya Thomas, we've got him at 58th for the safeties out of 83. All of them right in that high 50s to low 60s number grade. So, again, even in some of these units where it's like, okay, the secondary is struggling, but Minka Fitzpatrick was playing well, like we were said. Hey, maybe he's the one example over and over again. That is the most consistent secondary in the league right there in terms of the grading production as well. So, if they're just going to lean in and go for these offensive games, you got Dak right now as the third best quarterback in the league, third best pass grade overall. Javonte Williams having kind of a good season. You get CeeDee Lamb back, I guess, as well, too, to pair with the fact that George Pickens has been unlocked a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and maybe there's a balance there that's able to be achieved a little bit as well, too. Maybe you talk yourselves into them, again, playing better and just saying that we believe in our guys. But I still would not be against trying to bring in one of those corners. Maybe, Bland as a corner is a little bit more traditionally better. I don't know what that even means. But I still believe in Diggs' top-end abilities as a playmaker, turnover guy. Though, again, he hasn't necessarily been there for a couple years. And he is playing post a pretty good injury as well, pretty severe injury as well, too. So we can't necessarily underrate that. I don't remember exactly the timeline for the return on that. So this could be the year where it's like him kind of working his way back as well, too. More so than maybe the year fully removed from the injury. But he was 2 games in 2023 and then 11 in 2024. So he was still not healthy last year as well, too. So, again, I guess that kind of inconsistency is definitely starting to get a little bit concerning as well, too, and the toll that that would take on your playing as well. So maybe Bland would be the better choice here if we had to. But then again, he also has had his injuries as well. So, that was a part of their season last year for sure. But, yeah, it'd be an interesting swing. Again, it would not be a, multiple picks type of trade. It'd be, oh, wait a second. We could get Diggs for a 6th round pick from the Cowboys. Like, what's happening here? They need to reset this. Like, Jerry Jones actually doesn't want to pay the contract. Then I'd be okay with, I guess, maybe willing to take a swing at that point. And I guess double check what the contract is as well, too. But in terms of availability, maybe those guys are up there on the list as well. Giants, do they start getting into the trade stuff? The Saints, I don't know if they feel like they can be a playoff team. They still do only have the 1 win at this point. McKinstry has been pretty good, and I guess him was on a rookie deal. I guess 80. What game was he good in? Was it the Panthers game? He did have a game where he had a couple of picks, but maybe overall, I guess PFF not a fan, but still, as a younger corner, he has shown some stuff as well too. And corner is a tough one. If you have a good corner, you might not be trading him while he's playing well, especially because they do get a little year to year like that sometimes. Maybe Sauce for the Colts, chat. Maybe Sauce is a little bit more available, and maybe it's just because the Jets are, like I'm saying, there's a definite tier here with some of these teams where we're like, okay, we know sort of the direction of this team and the talking yourself in, the year or two afterwards as well. Because I guess, maybe Diggs starts, if we're going back to the Cowboys, starts getting into the year over effect of what is it going to be like in the future if the injuries and the physicality and all that different stuff is already trending in this one direction. But maybe with Bland, it's like, okay, maybe a year after, whatever, if he gets healthy, or even Diggs will too, the defensive line and the rest of the team builds up better. There's a year where those guys are still playing really well on a good defense. But, maybe for the Jets, it would be a little bit more of them, again, being a couple years away from that competitiveness as well, too. And you just kind of know that Sauce is going to be stranded there on that team for a little bit. But here, let's double check this secondary real quick for Indy and see what we've got. And Ward, I guess, like we're saying, didn't even play this last week because of the preseason injury. Mekhi Blackman had a pick 6 this year, so he's shown some stuff. Even at the PFF grades, not great. Chris Lamons with the 69-1, and Jonathan Edwards 4150. Hey, not a name I guess I'm super familiar with as well too. But even Nick Cross, I still kind of like at safety. I wouldn't necessarily be racing to replace him. First option as well too. I mean, again, you're always going to need the defensive line bulking up, and having a true closing pass rusher as well too maybe helps the secondary and the front seven more so than just bringing in a great corner, because they have had the linemen make plays at certain times. Like Latu's had 2 picks this year. So yeah, he's at the 7th best defensive end right now in football, and it's going to be because of that. And he's made plays. Kwity Paye had a big 3rd down sack against the Cardinals this past week. So, again, the guys are still producing sometimes at spots on the field when it is an important time to produce. But having a true 3rd down, big play pass rusher that can get to the quarterback would be a real, closing element for this team as well, too. We haven't really mentioned Arizona as a potential trade team in general, but this is another one where they only have 2 wins so far. The NFC is a little bit of a winnable, I guess making the playoffable, we should say, if that's the term. It definitely still feels like you can make a wild card there, even if you're a little bit behind on the record. But with Murray hurt and with them looking like they could steal a game last week and then, not able to get it, maybe some of these defensive guys could be trade pieces as well too. Like, I know they just brought in Sweat from free agency, but if you're able to immediately flip him for some picks in the future, again, NBA style, maybe you start to consider that. And he is still producing really well. So I feel like you could get a pretty decent haul for him. I'm not saying like multiple picks, but I can't imagine, Indy might have to give up like a second to get Josh Sweat, or a third round pick for Josh Sweat. Has he been traded by the Vikings in 18 as a 4th round pick with a 17th pick to the Eagles for Sam Bradford? So only as a future pick, not even, I guess, traded as a current player. But that's just because Philly was valuing his production there, and then he signed with Arizona in free agency, like we're saying. So I don't know if they 5 sacks in 6 games. Again, he's still pretty valuable as that closing pass rusher, but he is a little one-dimensional. 7 QB hits, so the times that he does get to the quarterback, he is closing the deal. So that's good. I would honestly, that'd be a top guy on my wish list for sure. If they could bring him in, that'd be kind of fun. Again, he does feel a little bit more rotational than a pure kind of closing pass rusher, and Indy does like a little bit more of a 4-3 defensive line than a kind of an outside linebacker rusher style like that. But he's proven as well too with the way that the Philly defense was able to make a playoff, make a Super Bowl push last year. But could they get really frisky as well too and start moving on from some of the other pieces? Because I was looking at Harrison as well, and that would be a real NBA move to start looking at him on the trade machine, because his value needed to. The problem be, again, the team's probably trading for him, is the value Arizona would need to get back for him might be a little too much at this point, because he is a former number 4 overall pick, top 5 pick. But the number 1 receiver element has seemed to be a little bit behind at this point. With McBride there, you do have both those guys still feel a little bit on the same level. And Harrison has been pretty good in the red zone as well too, and he's converted a lot of touchdowns, so we got to give him credit for scoring and being a threat in the red zone. But I don't know if a team would give up 2 first-round picks to bring in Marvin Harrison at this point. But if there was a 2-second deal for Marvin Harrison, I guess at this point in his rookie deal would seem impossible. But that'd be a call I would definitely make if I was a GM. Be like, hey, 2 seconds maybe they're probably hanging up pretty quick. They still think that he would be the top guy, but I don't know. You never know. So I feel like we'd definitely reach out and see. And they still have, again, like offensive line. They still got some good pieces there where if you brought in a couple picks like that, you could say, okay, we could add some guys, continue to build through the trenches. The Kyler stuff as well too, like we were saying hinting at a little bit earlier, is definitely something to keep an eye out. I don't know if he would get traded in the middle of the season. Maybe he's like watch list for off-season trade conversations, but that would be another obvious place where they would potentially get to being frisky. But we will take one more quick break, chat, and then one more peruse through the trade machine. Hey, it is what it is. Tonight is trade machine night for the NFL. And I guess we don't really need to pay attention to this Dodgers-Brewers game. I guess we'll see what happens here. But the Dodgers are now at 5-1. So looking like they're going to take a 2-0 lead on the series. But one more quick break, chat. We'll be right back. All right, chat, we are back. Just vibing along to Spanish Joint by D'Angelo. Just firing up Blazers Warriors preseason. I mean, you guys know how it goes on the Remington pod. One more peruse through the trade machine before we get out of here for the evening. And yeah, I think we were getting hot takey about Marvin Harrison there. I guess maybe they could also trade for a running back as well too if we were talking about it. But just because of the uncertainty with, I guess, the quarterback could be a conversation in general, but also just the injuries. I mean, just for, are they going to have their starter this year? Do you want to bulk up the team? I guess is a conversation then, help out Jacoby Brissett. But, what is this year going to look like as well, too? Atlanta, off of the impressive win, we should definitely mention them for sure. And, the NFC South home team effect is maybe just a real thing to watch. Those teams definitely be a little bit more consistent in their own environments. In the fact that their own edge rushers from the draft as well, too, have had, such good moments throughout the start of the season, has maybe their need, of course, for trading for one of those guys would just be more the instant, like we're saying, the instant boost of it than the long-term effect. Because you do look at it like, okay, we do have some options now. We're at least, hey, shout out Rosillo, sounded like Rosillo. Good luck with the next move. But we got, at least you have a couple of guys that you do have in the mix to potentially build around where it's, going forward. It's like we just at least need some youth there at that spot. So, again, do they have the number one edge guy for the future, whatever, but you have the beginning of building a great rotation with the way those guys have looked as well, too. Diablo has been a great addition for the team for sure. And then, you still have Bates and stuff in the secondary. You could honestly bulk up the receivers as well too. Like, could this be an AJ Brown team? Like, imagine Philly trading AJ Brown to Atlanta. Like, why, chat? Why would you just make Atlanta better than Philly with that trade? That wouldn't make any sense. You would still need maybe a defensive line piece or two as well to get that level, what we were talking about. But a good addition to the receiving group could definitely be used to help out Drake London as well too. And Algier from Atlanta could be interesting trade bait for teams looking for a running back, with Bijan taking more of that number one responsibility, obviously over the last couple years, but really obviously now it's like him being up near the best running back in the league. Algier's been delegated to a little bit more of a different role. But speaking of Arizona, like Arizona bringing in Algier, can they get Algier for a 6th, chat, for a 7th? We don't even know trade values at this point. Whoa, they've got Penix at 34th out of 38th for QB. So they got him below starting level. But, just that low in general is kind of crazy. I don't know if that's really skewed by that Panthers game as well, too. He's had, again, a couple up and down performances in there. And I guess, has he been awesome in the games they've won? He's had a good one or two. But, a little lower than we would have thought. So, Atlanta also in the QB market as well. I don't know, Atlanta, Shador for Penix, chat. Do the Browns get feisty? Do the Falcons get feisty? I think the problem is with Penix, could be pretty, again, like we're saying, decent this year. You do think that with the way you competed against Tampa in that game, you would have a shot with the NFC South if you can keep winning your games and compete against them as well. You're going to have to obviously win them against them in the rematch. But they are starting to get a little bit of a record distance now as well, being one of the better regular season record teams at this point at 5-1. Atlanta, are they 4-2 or 3-3? 4-2, definitely right there. 3-3, you're going, okay, a little bit. Oh, 3-2. Have they, I guess, yeah, wait a second. 4-2 would be, oh, no, wait a second, chat. We just played week 6. I'm crazy. Atlanta, did they have a bye in there? They did have a bye. They had the first buys for week 5. So shout out, because we lost to a team that didn't have Bijan and somehow put up 300 points. I think because they have JSN as well too. And Rico Dowdle, they're going to win the league. It is what it is. Rico Dowdle, chat. I guess you can't really trade for Rico Dowdle. Could you trade for Chua Hubbard, though? Or do the Panthers want to go full run game? Like we said earlier, though, because the Panthers, this is the best they've played in, the Bryce Young era for sure. I don't know if you want to start messing with the team. You're probably only going to bring guys into the team at this point. But it is a lot of young guys as well, too. Like, you've got Derek Brown at the tackle is still, future ahead of him. J.C. Horn, the receivers are all, Rico Dowdle's, I guess the running backs are on the timeline that they're on. But, he is not necessarily, I don't think, just beginning his, or, he's not necessarily just ending, I should say, his NFL career. What did we got him at? 27, 2020 draft? Okay, he's been fighting around for a little bit, but still in the mix for sure. And the offensive line has been really, really good this year. All of these guys, I think, we got Aquanu at 30th rank, Lewis at 12th for guards. Mays, the center, is 8th. Christensen, the other guard, 3rd. And the other tackles, 32nd. So all the guys have been above starting level offensive linemen. And they've all been above, like, the first level of starting offensive linemen as well, too. Because I guess, outside of the center, you've got 2 guards, 2 tackles. So you would have, if you're the 63rd best guard in the league, I guess technically you're still a starting level tackle. Though, I guess if you're not the 63rd best left tackle. But if you're just kind of throwing them all into one group, you do have a little bit more to work with there. But they are all still above that, extra level, I guess, as well, too. But again, Leggett and McMillan as outside guys. So you could still bring in another receiver. But I guess with Bryce Young, the problem is, as much as he has been he has been turnover free, I guess, interception free. He's had some fumbles and stuff as well, too. But, as much as he is playing more efficient, I still don't know if you would bring in a receiver like that just because, and, drafting is different than the trading extra pieces as well too, to then have to be like, can Bryce Young get him the ball? And that is obviously not a place you would necessarily want to be at for your quarterback, but it's more let him just develop with the guys that we have at this point, because we trust that group as well too as a receiver group, and I really like it. So, if they want to add, like we're saying, then we can't necessarily say that they shouldn't do that. But also, did they have their first? Oh, they did, because they took McMillan in the first round this year. But not having the first round, that they had that, of course, big trade to get Bryce Young as well too. So for them to keep their picks and continue to build in the draft over these next couple of years would be probably ideal as well. So I honestly think the Panthers are a hold, Chad. Do we have to go through the holds? Who would be a hold? Is Carolina the only hold at this point? I think Kansas City, I don't know if they're into hold territory, because they could, of course, like we're saying, everybody could bulk up the offense. I guess, like, they could bulk up the defensive line. Both are about depth and having guys at rotation. Creed Humphrey, still the best in the league, chat, at the center spot. Hey, yo, shout out. The tan line on the media photo is elite stuff for sure. Man's literally only in a football helmet or a visor of some kind, you would assume. But they also do get Rashee Rice back, so again, not a trade, but you do get a mid-season addition like you would a trade. So running back would be the obvious thing that they could get at this point. Can Tank Bigsby get traded again? I mean, I don't know if it's like NBA rules, like we say, where you can only get traded a couple times in 6 months, or like once every 6 months. But if you could trade Bigsby again, maybe Tank Bigsby to Kansas City at this point. Algier to Kansas City, though, like, that'd be a good one. Where, do you bring him in and give him 25 carries a game? Maybe, just because you need him. Maybe you don't have a running back in general. Just have 25 carries a game in Kansas City. But, hey, yo, Chad. Henson Yang from the baseline, little drive? Okay. Was he in the corner? Did he start that from the corner? We got the pick and roll double screen for, is that Kamara? On the drive, chat? Hey, yo. Yang's going to be a problem. Yang, Klingon, Drew Holiday as a 3-person rotation. Then what do we got? Scoot, Sharp. Is that going to be your other 2? I guess we'll just have to see. But that could be a wild card team, chat. That could be a wild card team. Hey, yo. We'll just have to, I guess it is what it is. We'll have to make sure we're going through the final bits and looking at the rest of the pause. Looking at the rest of the rosters as well, too. Getting the rest of the names locked in. But outside of running back, they're getting pretty close to hold, just because the coaching and the talent is starting to fall into place. And again, still not the most talented roster, but balanced, with having a good corner like McDuffie, Karlaftis, obviously Chris Jones, I guess it is going to be one of the more talented, even if it's not maybe still number 1 for just personnel units at this point. Still pretty good. And offensive line starting to find a rhythm as well too. So do they trade for a tight end, Chad? Do they have to bring in Likely to replace Kelsey? Kelsey number 9 for tight ends at this point. And it really is just the yards after the catch for him as well too, because there was a couple of times in the last game where it's like he's still, this ability obviously to read the defense, find the soft spot pauses in the zone, and be able to sit down, and the connection that he has between him and Mahomes to be able to make those plays work. Like, that stuff is still definitely there, but him making the catch and then dragging 6 people for 30 yards afterwards is maybe not there in the same type of way as well too. So that is Chad, we got game for the Dodgers. First complete game since Jose Lima. Chad, did he pitch a full start to finish game? 2004. Did we just see a historic pitching performance? Shout out. And I think Yamamoto, am I saying the name right? I just heard the announcer say it there, but I think I got it. Yamamoto, he is a guy that was, the baseball people were loving him, even though he wasn't necessarily the international star like Ohtani. But as a pitcher, I don't know if he's as good as Ohtani, but, at least he has a historic feat there in his own right as well, too. So, 20 years, Chad. I guess we had the baseball playoffs on the right night. Shout out to the Brewers as well, too. They've been a fun team to have on in the background from time to time. I guess 2-1. They're not 2-0. They're not out of the playoffs yet. But, for tonight's game anyways, not the end of the historic performance you want to be on for sure. But, yeah, the Chiefs, of course, the number 1 team in Coward's power rankings. Why would you need to change up anything if he is loving your team that much as well? The Bears could definitely get interesting. Maybe the Steelers are a hold, chat. The Steelers might be a hold, and honestly, running back, receivers, like we're saying, all the different stuff. But they are playing really well. The defense is able to commit some turnovers and, at least get offense off the field, like we're saying. And Rodgers is still playing efficient, and Metcalf and some of these guys are creating after the catch and allowing him to still put together these drives that, they could definitely use the firepower. But I don't know with the way that the offense functions, it would definitely get better. But, again, speaking of A.J. Brown, like, I don't know if he would want to be in this quick of an offense or any of some of those other, we threw out like Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe 4 yards of reception is good for him. I don't know. But I don't think he would also want to kind of work in this type of system. So it does maybe get a little interesting of who is a good fit. Because weirdly, DK is good at a lot of that weirdly, but that underneath route running is a place that he really excels in. And he's just so fast as well, too. So maybe like Waddle, chat, can they lean in on the speed and bring in like Jalen Waddle from Miami? Would they make that move? And then you have Waddle and Metcalf, but we're not going to replace our guy Roman Wilson as well too. He's been, a beloved Michigan guy for sure. So could be a potential running back team as well. But you've been waiting so long to have Warren in there at that number 1 spot, and then Johnson. I don't know if you still believe in him as well too, as a just potential rotation guy in the mix. But the Steelers are at this point close to a hold, so I guess we could update over the next couple of weeks. Do we put the Rams in hold category, chat? We might have to put the Rams in hold category, unless it's for Roquan Smith. But that second first-round pick just makes him a team. I guess the Seahawks. The Seahawks would be the other team that is in hold category. Once again, wide receiver 2, of course. You need a wide receiver. Whoa, Darnold they have as the best quarterback in the league. They have Kenneth Walker as the best running back in the league. And JSN as the best receiver in the league. Chat, they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're either going to win the Super Bowl or this is, 2004 Colts at this point. But Eman Wari, chat, Eman Wari is number 1 overall for safeties right now. He, I guess, hasn't played a ton. We got him 86. We got about 100 some snaps for the year. And really, a majority over the last 2 weeks as well, too. They only have him listed here for weeks 1, 5, and 6. But regardless, the last 2 weeks, Eman Wari has been pretty incredible. So you just throw him into their secondary as well, too, which I guess is not even healthy at this point. So the Eagles, chat, the Eagles maybe take, or the Eagles, AO, the Seahawks have taken the Eagles' crown as the #1 roster in the league. I think so, chat. I think so. Yeah, Witherspoon's inactive at this point, and Woolen's inactive. So you get those guys in the secondary. You get the way that Murphy has been playing on the defensive line this year. He's been a stellar first-round pick as well. You know, they have had depth there already. You know, Leonard Williams. I guess they brought in DeMarcus Lawrence as well, too. Here, let's see what he has done for this season. Hey, yo. I'm assuming productive. Yeah, I mean, if the defense has been productive, he has obviously been a major part of it as well, too. And they haven't really been a prime-time team yet at this point. So I think we just kind of thought they were going to be a bit of a bland team this year. Maybe 5, 6 wins, 7, you know, somewhere between the 5 to 8 win range. So I don't know if we were locking them in for primetime games. But they are, like, always 3 o'clock window, you know, around in the red zone all the time for sure. But to actually see a full game, you know, I guess we'll have to fire up the All-22 chat and see what's going on. But yeah, here, let's double check. Does PFF have them ranked #1? They might. #2, chat. #2 overall. So wait a second. Who would they have #1? Real quick. I guess we could just go. We could just get the power rankings on the plus or something. But we're not going to sign up. Hey, yo, they got Tampa at 13th. Okay, interesting. You know, 5-1, one of the better records. Not the 13th best record in the league. That's for sure. Indy. Is it Indy, chat? The 5-1 Colts, the best team in the league? Okay, they got us at 5th. That is pretty good as well, too. Buffalo? Maybe it's still Philly. Detroit? It's not Detroit after this last game. Is it Kansas City, chat? There's no way it's actually Kansas City as well, too. Oh, they do have them 8th, though. Even at 3-3. Still the #8 overall team. So everybody in the top 10 holds. I don't know if that's the rule, because Buffalo, I don't think, is a hold as well. Though I still probably like the receivers a little bit more than most. They could definitely use a #1, but Shakir, Coleman, like I like the upside of the, you know, Coleman and stuff for sure. So I'd be willing to bet on what they could be and just give them a chance and at least allow them the opportunity and not try to take away, you know, those snaps and stuff from them. 3rd for Detroit. Hey, yo, chat. So we're missing who is an obvious #1 over. Do they have the Steelers at #1? Hey, yo. Maybe it's the Packers. Maybe it still is the Eagles at this point as well, too. 2 losses for Philly. And then the #1 overall team would seem a little surprising. But, okay, 7th. We're really going to get a good scope of the top 10 here, according to PFF. I guess maybe it is just Pittsburgh with them having a good record as well. Oh, tied for 15th. Not even close, chat. Not even close. So who is the #1 team according to PFF? It's a mystery. Green Bay is 4th. We're going to start going alphabetical order here, chat. And just see what we got. Not even to, I guess, to get the answer, but, you know, just to figure it out at this point as well. Jacksonville's got 2 losses. Okay, tied for 20th. Thank goodness, chat. Hey, yo, I thought I would have known nothing about football at this point if that would have been true. San Francisco? No. Washington? Is it Washington? Who is it, chat? Hey, yo, who am I missing? Is it Dallas? Maybe it's Denver. 14th. Imagine Denver. Bo Nix, they would still be #1 overall. That could be crazy. Some of these losses, yeah, chat. 11th. There's no way. 13. You scored 13 against the Jets in London. You can't be the best team in the league. There's no way. It's not Atlanta. Tied for 18th. Okay, chat, we'll figure it out and report back next week. Hey, yo, this is crazy. This is shouldn't be this difficult to figure out. But yeah, Seattle, of course, like we're saying, definitely a standout team through the first 6 weeks. So hopefully there's not a, you know, clock strikes midnight moment for them on the season here where things start to turn around. Maybe the Saints are a hold as well too. Just let it tank, chat. Just see what the season has. Spencer Rattler, and see what you have there. See what pick you end up with. Maybe the Saints are #1 overall. Spencer Rattler, has he been that impressive, chat? I don't know. Rams hold. Steelers hold. Niners, I mean, they've got nobody left to trade, so they might just have to hold as well too. And I guess Tampa is a hold, chat. Like, what is Tampa going to do? They just need to get healthy at this point. If Baker keeps playing awesome in clutch moments, then you can basically get a win against anybody. And Dean has been the best corner in the league. Hey, yo, Chan, a 99.6 pass rush grade. That's the highest grade I've ever seen on anything, ever in PFF. Hey, yo, this is like the most elite. Jamal Dean's pass rushing this year is the most elite skill ever. Whoa, Chad. We got to double check this on the stats real quick. What is happening here? Was he have like one rush for a sack? Hey, yo. Is it Jamel with an E? Yeah, Chad. Hey, yo, my bad. Jamel Dean, shout out. 2 picks and a touchdown this year. But it wasn't his pass coverage grade. It was his pass rush grade. So we'll double check that. Pass rush, he has 2 blitzes. And he does have 2 blitzes and a sack. Hey, yo, so that is pretty good. He does have a blitz in week 2 against the Houston Texans. And he blitzed this past week against the Niners and got a sack. So that kind of efficiency, I guess, gives you a 99.6 overall grade. But regardless, he's 6th overall in coverage and 26th in run defense as well, too. So top 10 cover corner in the league this year, according to PFF. And, you know, the him and Davis combo was, you know, good for somebody years there. And they traded Davis and was like, are they going to pull the plug on some of these other guys? And, like, is Dean going to go as well, too? But now they've kept him around. And, of course, obviously now looking like the move. Though I think Davis has been good as well, too, though probably not as good as Dean has been. And Winfield still having a pretty productive season. So he might have been a trade target last year, but this year, I don't know. And again, with Worth, like, they're not going to trade anybody, Chet. The season started off too well. Baker's going for MVP. Just keep the vibes together and see what happens. And, you know, I don't know if they inject anything crazy as well, too, unless obviously the opportunity presents itself. And the deal is just something that, you know, you can't be passing up on. Washington could be an interesting team that we haven't mentioned yet. You know, I think McLaurin was out for this last game. Yeah, he's inactive right now. Deebo Samuel, they've gotten a good season out of him. And Jakrowski Merritt has been an RB1 type of guy as well, too. Their defense has been, you know, pass rush has been pretty strong this year. And we do like Sandstrom as a corner, despite what the PFF grade says. Hey, yo, they did make the move for Lattimore last year, so they will make a trade. I guess, should we double check their trade assets as well, too? Just to see what picks they are working with here. And not to say that they would make a trade with the Cowboys as well, too. So they don't have their second, but they do have their first, third, fifth, sixth, seventh normal selection of picks. So no second is interesting for a trade. It does kind of, you know, not to say that is the end-all, be-all trade pick, but it is a good compromise at times. So, you know, one they've already made. Did they get Deebo Samuel with that second? There's no way. I think that was like a 4th-round pick. So, you know, that's one of those ones as well, too, where we just would, you know, for the respect to Deebo, like put some respect pause on Deebo's name and, you know, trade him for a better pick than that at this point as well. Oh, chat. Hey, yo. Are too many people watching the NBA preseason, or is the League Pass app just suck? I think it might be the League Pass app. Hey, yo. Is that why we want the NBA to go to all these streaming services? So these apps actually work. Get it off the League Pass app. Peacock. It'll actually stream. Oh, Luka. He's playing tonight against Phoenix. Hey, yo, chat. I guess we're excited to watch Luka. Sorry to the Blazers, but okay, there's 30 seconds left in the half in that game anyways. Oh, wait, but the Lakers and the Suns are at half, which means they'll be out of half sooner because this game is about to go into half. So, yeah, I think we should turn on this game instead would be the move. Is it Luka and Bronny, chat, against Booker and Jalen Green? Is that an even matchup? Which duo, slide into the DMs at REMINGTOM Pod right now. Which duo would you rather build your team around? Would you rather have Luka and Bronny or Devin Booker and Jalen Green? Hey, yo, chat. The fact that it's a conversation, I mean, shout out to Luka, but I feel like, you know, you'd have to take the 2 players, right? I mean, I don't know. But maybe Luka makes up for it. So, yeah, Washington, no number 2 this year in the trade market as well. But they are pretty close to a hold. The loss last night was not great, but the Bears are starting to maybe turn the corner. Who knows if they're a playoff team? And Daniels is working his way back from injury as well too, so that could be a thing that you're not saying that. I guess you do obviously want your quarterback to elevate the roster. You don't want you don't want to always put your quarterback in a spot that's like, we need you to just carry us all the way. But obviously they do play better when he is playing his best at quarterback, and he can elevate what the high end of this team is. And maybe like a safety, if they got some safety help, could be fun. But Martin is a guy that we have stock in as well too. Reeves, I guess I'm not too familiar with his game. We have to say Shaq. Hey, yo, Jeremy Reeves. Sorry, I'm not too familiar with your game. It is what it is. But I guess so. We're giving him a new safety or a new corner to help out with Lattimore. But maybe these teams have to go to the UFL for all the teams that need corners at this point. Like we're saying, all these teams do end up at some point needing the same team. But Washington is not looking too bad right now either, though. Get back to us by the trade deadline, and maybe we're in a little bit of a different spot as well too. So, chat, I don't think that there is anybody we didn't mention quickly in terms of a trading aspect. I guess Tennessee, what do? Do they free Jeffrey Simmons from the purgatory of this Titans team? I guess is the question. They did just fire their coach. So, Callahan, it's like, what's his punishment for misbehaving in school? No school. He gets, I don't know if the NFL coaching works the same exact way, but, his punishment for being part of this awful team is he no longer gets to be on this awful team. So he'll go to be an offensive coordinator or whatever somewhere and be happy on a good team, I guess. But, maybe Simmons is a guy that if you throw enough first round picks, the Titans will actually eventually move on from at some point and allow him to play in competitive football, because I don't even know how many. Well, I guess he would have been on their team when they made that run to the conference championship game against Kansas City. But outside of that, hasn't necessarily got a ton of opportunities to play a ton of competitive football. So him making some impact moments could be fun as well too. They don't really have anything offensively that would be crazy like that, just in terms of we need to see this guy on this level at this stage finally. But I guess maybe Ridley, though, who is Cam Ward going to throw to? But if you could get Ridley for a low draft pick, I mean, he could definitely be useful. So, like, if Ridley went to the Chiefs, like, that could be an interesting one. To be honest, the two trades that I feel like where I'm actually kind of convinced on would be Roquan Smith to the Rams and Calvin Ridley to the Chiefs as well. Do we have trade odds on FanDuel? I'm not sure. But that feels like something that could happen. The Titans those teams are in two separate different fields, where in Calvin Ridley, for as good as he is, obviously you're not thinking that, and just the Chiefs getting different name value receivers. It'd be like, that's a super level move. Put it on the graphic, Mahomes, Ridley, and Rashee Rice and Mahomes, Hollywood Brown, and Calvin Ridley. It's like, holy cow, a big three. But it would still, you could trade Calvin Ridley away maybe in the faith that he's not going to be like AJ Brown kind of nightmare, turn the tables on you again. But as I say that, he's very capable of, like, if he was going back against Tennessee a game later, having like 160 yards against them, because it is Tennessee, but also, he is that type of talent as well too on any given game. But yeah, Calvin Ridley to the Chiefs is not bad, or to the Ravens as well. I could see either one of those, but Calvin Ridley getting traded could feel pretty realistic as well. So shout out to Calvin Ridley and shout out to Roquan Smith for your new homes. It is what it is. But chat, do we gotta cut it off right there? Pause. We might have to. So it is what it is. A simple night, I guess, of bumming around the trade machine. But we'll be back this week. We'll actually be back Thursday night this week, chat. A little bit of a different schedule headed into the weekend. Stay tuned for updates on that. But we will be back Thursday night watching along to the Thursday night football game. It's going to be hopefully a fun one, chat. It is what it is. We will just have to see. But, we got a fun weekend of football, college football ahead, and the last week, like we said, before NBA. So I guess the last week that we'll have a movie on for a while in just a random part of the night potentially, but I guess we'll have to see the inside of the NBA schedule. If it will be replacing some of those Tubi minutes, but yeah, we will be looking forward to having the NBA back, and I guess maybe a little NBA preview-y type stuff as well too for Thursday, because I know that over the weekend, whatever the schedule is, it'll be NFL focused as well too for the games and stuff there. So stay tuned to the YouTube. We'll be going on a different schedule this weekend. We'll be live Thursday. You can follow along here. Of course, you'll stay tuned for when we pop up and see us going live. But you can also follow us on the podcast feeds as well too, over on all of the different podcast platforms. Of course, Spotify does have video as well too, so you can get the video over on Spotify as well. But it is available, Old School REMINGTOM Pod. You can find it over there as well. Hey, yo, chat, and Luca starting off the second half with early. I guess I didn't see what it was. If it was an assist or a bucket there, but they cut to him and he was smiling. So an early successful play by Doncic. Ayton giving up an offensive rebound though on the first possession of the half for the Suns as well too. So Malawach, the center, is a fun prospect for them. Honestly, Chad, Malawach and Booker and Jalen Green. Hey, yo, we're getting nervous about the Spurs playoff opportunity every time we look at it. But we would still trust, obviously, the high-end potential of our best player over some of these guys. Marcus Smart is on the Lakers as well, too. I forgot about that graphic. Did they even post that graphic this year? I mean, the Lakers are not bad, Chad. The Lakers are not bad. Denver is going to be a vaunted team, but LaRavia is not bad either. And it's, I think a little bit of LeBron and Luka, but I think if you, I guess the LeBron sciatica thing is something that he's dealing with as well too. I don't even really know what a sciatica is. I think it's a back thing, and I think it's an old man thing as well too. So, shout out LeBron. It's all respect, the fact that you even have to get a sciatica while you're playing in the NBA. Like, who's even been around long enough, chat? Hey, yo, it's just like it's like a compliment at this point, just for the longevity. It's like injuries are a badge of honor at some point. It's like, LeBron will be playing with a life alert. It'll be cool. But the rest of the rotation around Luka, it's still, I don't know if you look at it and go, okay, is he in a better team than he was in Dallas? And to be honest, I guess if you take who's the Dallas best players, so maybe that's a little bit of that kind of iffiness where there's a couple of guys that could be this year, whereas Luka's individually the best. So Dallas is kind of all supporting cast, and Luka is obviously a individual superstar, and then has a little bit of a weaker supporting cast. But, Dallas may be a better quote-unquote team, but again, regardless, this Lakers team is still fine. I guess we're not going to sit here and be pro-Lakers. But I guess the fake LeBron last season, I don't know if it's not going to be not near the end, Chad. Hey, yo. Like, we can kind of probably start to count out, how many years he's got left at this point. So, maybe some success for LeBron at the end. I guess, hey, yo, that's what the man needs, Chad, is some more success. But, hey, yo, as the man goes into his twilight, we're going to miss his career. So, at some point, Wemby and the Spurs have to take over. But you shout out, if Jake LaRavia helped LeBron win a few playoff games, we wouldn't be mad as well, too. If it was against the Spurs, then we would definitely be, you would be like, hey, remember when you said that you would be happy if LeBron was had playoff success? Well, it's like, hey, there's 30 other teams here. If he has a good playoff run that avoids San Antonio, and San Antonio can help but getting beat by another team, and, maybe then we're rooting for the Lakers to get a win against that team as well. I guess, hey, yo, us rooting for the Lakers. I don't even like to say that, but you never know. So, I guess us cheering for LeBron, hey, yo, it is what it is, Chet. We grew up in the 2000s, so we like the guy. It is what it is. But NBA next week. Let's go, chat. We're right here. We've made it to this season. NFL this weekend. Thursday Night Football. We'll be back. Like we said, you guys can stay tuned. And you guys can, I guess, submit, your fake trades over at the REMINGTOM Pod on Instagram as well, too. Or just, any kind of messages you want to send us over there. Those DMs are open. I think we checked everything off the list, chat, for tonight. I guess we didn't dip into the hockey world at all. now that that's back. So, we were complaining that we didn't have any competitive basketball, but I guess we did have competitive regular season something else besides, competitive postseason baseball. We did have regular season hockey. So maybe we start getting into hockey this year, chat. Hey, yo, it is. I don't know. I mean, hey, yo, we're getting more into sports than we've ever been. I mean, we're a sports guy, so it's not like it's a hot take for us to be liking some other sports also, but it does feel like, it's not like hockey hasn't been there for us in the past to watch. It's not like baseball hasn't been there in the past for us to watch. So is that a sign that we're old, Chad? Is like, hey, yo, the old people are not going to like us hearing that. But, it's like, oh, wait a second. Or maybe is that the sign where we're just an adult in general? It's like baseball is entertaining now. What's going on? Hockey is a sport that we probably should have been watching more of in general. But, hey, maybe we just start throwing it on. Maybe this is the year. Hockey, I guess we can't say we'll lock in. But I guess what we will say is hockey, we did lock into the baseball playoffs. And I feel like if we did do that, then there's a good chance that we could probably lock into some hockey minutes as well, too. The Luka post-up, Laravia off the drive, Chet. Uh-oh. The floater is a little chaotic, but... Oh, and he's like, wait, what was that foul call? That wasn't on the... That's on me? But Dylan Brooks, hey, yo, I don't know if that's A-plus sideline fashion or, the other way around, Chat. It really toes the line. I think it really just depends on, what brand. It just depends on who the stylist is, what we're thinking. But either way, I guess we can ramble about sideline fits and random preseason stuff even more. Do we let the last 10 minutes of this third quarter of this preseason game play out, Chad? I don't know. Ayton, though, with the little switch out on the perimeter. I don't know preseason minutes, how impressive they are, but still, he was able to pull it off. Pause, and, the switch back onto Malawatch, Chad. Hey, yo, a little pop out. I don't know. Ayton defensively, he's moving around here, Chad. He's moving around defensively on that possession. You can see the athleticism. Him screening for Luka. Again, I don't know. Is he still the fourth best big man if we're ranking Gafford, Lively, Davis, and Ayton? But Luka could probably still, Luka, LeBron, they can make it work. I'm pretty sure. Shout out Ayton, number 1 overall pick. We're not going to put him in that. We're not going to be like, hey, yo, they can make it work. Ayton could also make it work as well, too. We know he's got that talent himself. But, hey, yo, chat. Like I said, we'll be back Thursday. Thursday Night Football. We can't wait to see you there.